He is stopped right at about the line of scrimmage. Good pursuit there by the Wildcats' Josh Booker-Brown, the sophomore out of Houston, Texas. It brings up a 4th down and 3. Decision time for the Bulldogs. And what you describe as no man's land, Captain D, the Bulldogs appear that they'll go for it here on 4th down.
Well, they have a stout defense as well. The coaching staff obviously thinks that their defense can stand up if they don't make it. But, again, too close to punt, too far to kick, right decision. See if the Wildcats can get off the field.
4th down and 3. Levertich swing pass out into the left flat. Caught, but nearly stopped in the backfield. But I think Terrion Avery was able to get away and get it to about the 35-yard line, which would be just enough.
And there's nothing else to say, Kelly, but the Wildcats had their chance over and over again. They had 2 different defenders there with a chance to get Avery down, and Avery, just with that last little stretch and 2 broken tackles, gets enough by a half a yard to keep the drive going.
1st down for the Bulldogs. Pearl River with 3 down linemen. They show blitz, but the handoff goes right straight up the middle. Avery finds some tough sledding, but is able to get ahead for about a gain of 2 on the play. Several Wildcats were wise to what was going on there and kept it from being any bigger gain. Jaden Ridgway, the freshman out of Pascagoula, on the stop for the River Cats, brings up a 2nd down and 8. 11:08 left to go here in the first quarter. No score between Mississippi Gulf Coast and Pearl River. Levertich in the backfield from the far hash, puts a man in motion to the near side. That's McGee. Mystical McGee. They try the handoff to the right side, and dumped behind the line of scrimmage is Avery. Great pursuit by Pearl River's Dekezius Chapman, the defensive lineman out of Lake, Mississippi, on the stop. A big loss will bring up 3rd down and 12 for the Bulldogs, who want to work quickly here on 3rd and long.
Great job by the pursuit. Good defensive call, good defensive execution. We heard in the pregame show, execute and communicate, and right there they did exactly that, forcing the loss on the play of 3 yards. It's 3rd down and 11.
Which you certainly think would be a passing situation. Pearl River drops some linebackers back. Levertich throws it across the middle. He had a receiver down at about the 5-yard line, but overthrew the intended receiver, Marquise Bridges, the wide receiver. Bridges out of Petal High School. So brings up a 4th and 11.
This really is no man's land, Kelly. 4th and 11. That's, kind of an ugly distance. But again, if you didn't punt from the 43-yard line, are you going to punt it from the 36? I doubt it. They're going to go for it here on 4th and very long.
Coach Jack Wright, the head football coach for Gulf Coast. The defensive coordinator is Latrell Pollard. His son, of course, plays for Southern Miss on the offensive line, Ty Pollard. Levertich is being pursued, throws the football down the sideline, and it is caught down at the 2. Levertich gets the ball away, and equal to the task is the aforementioned Marquise Bridges. He has a 1st down at the 2-yard line. Pearl River had it covered well, but looked away at the wrong time, and Bridges hauls it in.
Yep, Kyron Norwood got turned around at the worst possible time. Ball came in right over his back shoulder. Levertich did what he was supposed to. It's 4th down. You might as well throw it and see what happens. Well, what happened was down to the 1-yard line about to score.
Avery tries to stuff it in and gets over left tackle into the end zone for a Mississippi Gulf Coast Bulldog touchdown. So Avery on the 2-yard run gives the Bulldogs the lead. They just got inside the Red Burrito red zone and convert a touchdown from 2 yards out.
Kelly, you had not 1, but 2 4th down conversions on that possession. The first time you had 2 chances of tackling the running back / receiver, couldn't do it, and then right then, kind of a desperation heave down to the goal line. It finds its target, and the Wildcats are behind early.
Mason Hunt adds the extra point. And with 9:35 left to go here in the first quarter, Gulf Coast 7, Pearl River nothing. Back with the Wildcats offensive series in a moment. You're watching Wildcat football on PRCCmedia.com.
Hey, I'm Delana Harris from Pearl River Community College, and like football, life takes a great game plan, the right tools and equipment, and having an encouraging coach always helps.
At PRCC, we have full academic offerings for the first 2 years of college and over 40 career and technical education programs.
With personalized advising and a student-instructor ratio of 17 to 1, creating your game plan for success is easy.
So come join our team at Pearl River Community College and enroll with the Maroon and Gold.
The Wildcats had the Bulldogs on the ropes, but that 4th and 11 was a real shot to the heart of the Pearl River defense, and one play later, the Bulldogs grabbed the lead. So we'll see how the Wildcats respond now offensively as the kick comes down at the goal line. And actually the momentum carried Keontae Payton into the end zone where he downs it, and Pearl River will start 1st and 10.
You want to know how potent an offense Mississippi Gulf Coast has? Mason Hunt just kicked his 33rd extra point of the season. You scored 33 touchdowns in just over 7 ball games. You're putting some points on the board. And right there, though, that was a tough one because the Pearl River defense had not 1 but 2 golden opportunities on 4th down to get off the field and just couldn't convert on either chance.
Lovertich's pass completion percentage is nearly unreal. On 1st and 10, the Wildcats get to work. Fakes it to Ron Thompson, and Tavis Williams runs it himself for a meager gain of about 3, maybe 4, depending on the spot. 2nd down for Pearl River. Wildcats find themselves behind here 7-0 and trying to make life miserable for Mississippi Gulf Coast, who is still very much in the thick of the playoff chase. Other games today on the MAC-JC schedule include Delta at Holmes. Colin is playing at Jones. It is homecoming at Jones College. Colin and Jones battling for undisputed first place in the South Division. 2nd down and 6. Thompson to the left of Tavis Williams. This time they give it to Thompson. Try a stretch play, and Thompson gets some yardage up the right side across the 45, wrestled down at about the 48-yard line. Making the stop there for Gulf Coast was Dereki Snow, the defensive back out of Newton.
That's an 18-yard pickup right there, Kelly, and I'll tell you what, the prior play, because Tavis Williams did run the ball on the read option, he held it in there to the last second, and you could see the linebacking core had to respect that. And because they had to hold and couldn't pursue and shift, it gave Thompson just enough time to turn the corner and get the big gain.
Bulldogs jumped just a little bit offsides, but are able to correct it before the ball gets snapped on a 1st and 10, clock moving with 8:22 left to go here in the first quarter. The give and go to Thompson, right straight up the middle, but nothing doing there. No gain on the play. 2nd down and 10 upcoming. Making the tackle there this time for the Bulldogs was Jamie Sheriff, the defensive lineman, the freshman out of Terry, Mississippi. So he goes from being a Terry Bulldog to becoming a Gulf Coast Bulldog. 2nd down and 10 now.
Ron Thompson still with an outside shot, Kelly, of having a 1,000-yard season as he comes into this ball game just short of 750 with 2 games left to go.
He's such a good dude, too. You know, you wish him nothing but the best. 2nd down. Thompson now will split wide to the left. Throw is over the intended receiver's head. Tyler Polk was down at about the 38. Polk is pleading that he was held on the play, but no penalty markers down. Will bring up a 3rd down and 10, and the incompletion stops the clock with 7:40 to go in the first.
Again, just from my perspective now, I don't know what the play call was, but Polk was open early. And Tavis Williams, instead of throwing it on a line and hitting him when he was open, he kind of threw him into coverage right there, if you notice. Once where he threw that football was where the defense was, and I think that might have been something that he was saying as well.
3rd down, now he's in trouble, and he is engulfed back at the 39-yard line, brought down on the blitz by Archie, Shadarin Archie on the tackle for the Bulldogs. Archie out of Brandon, Mississippi, makes the play, brings up 4th down and 15, and here comes Will Lang in the punting unit again for PRC.
Obviously, offenses want to stay out of 3rd and long. That's offense 101. But when you have a defense like Mississippi Gulf Coast and you get in obvious passing situations, they're going to come after you and make you get rid of it quickly. And the Wildcats just couldn't give Williams any time to throw the football on 3rd and 10.
Bulldogs put him under pressure last time to get the kick away. This is a little bit better coverage, but it looks like it's off the foot of Will Lang, and it bounds out at about the 40-yard line. Another short field here for Mississippi Gulf Coast, but again, the Wildcats had him held to 2 4th-down situations, and the Bulldogs converted both. So they'll start 1st and 10 from their own 40-yard line, leading in this game 7-0.
Well, there's your 3 phases of the game, though, Kelly. Right now, a couple of punts, 24 and 20 yards respectively. You're obviously hoping to move the field a little bit more when you send your punting unit out. Again, good starting field position for Mississippi Gulf Coast.
Lovertich back to work for the Bulldogs with a man split left, twin receivers to each side of the field. working left to right or north to south as this field is parallel to Highway 11. Lovertich with time, throws to a man out of the backfield. That's caught there by Gray. Gray out of Puckett, Mississippi, where he was, the mascot at Puckett?
I do not.
The Wolves.
The Wolves.
The Puckett Wolves.
I drove right through Puckett yesterday on my way to Pelahatchie. I should have known that.
And the Pelahatchie mascot? You keep going, David. The Chiefs.
I know East Rankin. That's where I was.
The Pelahatchie Chiefs. Second down, swing pass again out into the left flat. Again caught by Gray. Gray ahead for the first down. The Wildcats pushed him out at about the 48-yard line. Making the play there was linebacker Reggie Williams out of Hattiesburg High. Hattiesburg with a big win last night over Picayune in high school play. A lot of people think those two teams will play for the 5A South State title. But Hattiesburg won that one 49-35. First and 10 for Gulf Coast. Lovertich sticks it right in the gut, but stacked up is Omni Wells, the freshman running back out of Moss Point. He is pushed backward, and a loss on the play, even with forward progress. Loss of 1 brings up a second down and 11 with 5:44 left to go here in the first quarter. Game so far has been in control of Gulf Coast.
I think that was Corey Jackson with a You've heard of pancake blocks? That was a pancake tackle.
Second down. Now, in the NFL, that wouldn't be allowed, right, especially on the quarterback. You can't pancake somebody like that. Lovertich again with time to throw, and good contested coverage for Pearl River in the secondary. Ron Baker was there, making life miserable for Nick Brown, the wide receiver out of Stone. Brings up a third down and 11, another third down and long for the Gulf Coast Bulldogs, who have been rather efficient, I would say, particularly on fourth down. Big Terrence Monroe rushing off the field for Pearl River. Third down here. Lovertich is built like a fullback, not very tall at all, but he can throw it. And there he goes, zings it down the sideline, and what a catch at the 10-yard line. Mystical McGee out of Pensacola, Florida, tipped it up in the air with one hand. It was slightly overthrown, tipped it up in the air with his downfield hand, and then pulled it in when he got control of his body. A great catch by McGee, in all fairness, and it's a first down for the Bulldogs, who are inside the Red Burrito red zone.
No wonder he has an 80% completion percentage. When your receivers catch balls like that, he tips it to himself for the 43-yard pickup.
Lovertich again for the pass, swings it out of the backfield and into the end zone for a Gulf Coast touchdown is Omni Wells.
Well, 2 long pass plays down the near side have basically bailed out Mississippi Gulf Coast. A 4th and 11 play, which Lovertich just let it go. It goes over the shoulder of a Pearl River defender and into the hands of his own receiver. And then on 3rd and 11, he just wound up and threw it as far as he could, probably farther than he should have, but Mystical McGee saves him with a great catch, and it ends up being a second touchdown drive of the afternoon.
A mystical catch by Mystical McGee. The extra point is up, and it is good by Mason Hunt out of Stone. With 4 minutes, 46 seconds left to go in the first quarter, it's Mississippi Gulf Coast 14, Pearl River nothing. Back in a moment as you're watching Wildcat football on PRCCmedia.com.
We want to thank you for quickly making Pine Belt Chevrolet one of the area's biggest dealerships. We're selling a lot of vehicles because you're finding out the best price and best service are right here. And during Truck Month, you get 18% off all 2018 Silverado 1500s, plus 90-day deferred payment, and 14% off all 2018 Tahoes, or choose from a big selection of certified pre-owned. New Pine Belt Chevrolet, Highway 98 West at Bellevue. Count on it.
Gulf Coast 2 for 2 in scoring opportunities. They'll kick it away to the Wildcats here with a 14-0 lead. Gulf Coast making a statement here as they continue to battle Jones and Colin for one of the 2 playoff spots in the South Division. This easily into the end zone, and Keontae Payton will let it go through.
Kelly, I'll tell you what, Keontae Payton, I would imagine someone's going to tell him this in the moment. He actually waved and gave a fair catch indication right there. Had he made that catch in play, say at the 1 or the 2 yard line, guess where you get the football?
The 1 or the 2.
And thankfully, it sailed over his head. But I just believe that was a little bit of a mistake. He was basically kind of conceding that he thought the ball was going to go far enough to get a touchback. But let me tell you, if that ball kind of dropped a little short of where he thought he made the catch, he would have gotten a lesson in the rule book very quickly. I don't think he should do that again.
Cooper Callis is in at quarterback now for Pearl River on the swing pass out into the flat. He hits his intended receiver, Tyler Polk, who was drilled immediately by the defense. Rotarian Johnson, the defensive back, again out of stone. Loss of 2 on the play.
He was supposed to be blocked, but he got around the block, and he absolutely blew that play up. The second time that Pearl River has completed a pass on first down, yet lost yards.
So Cooper Callis, who had a terrific performance last week against Southwest in Summit, back in there to lead the Wildcats on this series with 3:56 and counting left to go in the first quarter. Pearl River needs offensively something good to happen. Callis is flushed from the pocket, just floats this one out toward the sideline. Incomplete. He was looking for Donovan Hickman, the tight end, but he could not get out of the block by the Gulf Coast defense to get into the pass route there. So incomplete. The incompletion stops the clock with 3:47 left to go in the first, but it'll be 3rd down and 11. It seems like it's been that way all day for the Pearl River Wildcats.
Boy, I tell you what, the difference in passing yardage early on, Mississippi Gulf Coast 7 of 10 for 107 and a score. The only 2 completions for Pearl River have actually gone backwards.
3rd down, play action. Callis rolls to his right. He's under siege. Throws this ball downfield and essentially threw it away. Tyler Polk was in the area, but in order to avoid the sack, he threw it into the sidelines, and the punting unit will be coming again into the game for Pearl River, led by Will Lang. Will Lang, the sophomore out of Inverness, Mississippi, out of Indianola Academy. Terrion Avery back to receive it for Gulf Coast. Those guys that go to Stone High School and then go to Mississippi Gulf Coast, they've got that huge commute of about 7 minutes.
That just depends on if they hit the red light.
Although that red light was added recently, Wiggins certainly a town on the upswing.
Oh, no question.
Will Lang to kick this one away, and decent kick, fair catch signaled at the 48-yard line. But for the 3rd time today, Gulf Coast will have great field position, and for the 2nd time out of the 3 possessions, they will start in the Pearl River end of the field with 3.5 left to go here in the first. The Bulldogs leading the Wildcats 14-0.
Yeah, Pearl River's best starting field position is the 30. Mississippi Gulf Coast worst starting field position is the 40. I mean, they're averaging starting a drive just short of midfield on their first 3 possessions.
So 1st and 10, again at quarterback, Chance Lovertich, and it's spelled exactly like it sounds, Lovertich. Pearl River shows blitz. Lovertich on the pitch, back to Lovertich, wants to throw, steps up into the pocket, has a man downfield. It's incomplete at the 5-yard line. Mystical McGee had a chance for an easy touchdown as he had gotten behind cornerback Darrell Luter, but he just couldn't haul it in. But Lovertich, again, like he's got grease on him, is just able to evade the pressure by Pearl River and get that one away.
Boy, Luter was lucky. Simply put, he actually had it covered, Kelly, very well early and late. He just took the wrong angle. The ball just floated right over the top of his head, and you said it. That should have been an easy touchdown.
On the handoff this time, they'll try the right side. Some spinning and fancy movement gets across the 45 down to about the 42-yard line. Avery on the carry. Terrion Avery on the gain of about 7. It'll bring up a 3rd down and a long 3 as we near 3 minutes left to go here in the first quarter.
No, we've had not a lot of good to talk about, but they have been able to contain the run and force Lovertich to throw the football. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to stop the completions.
Handoff up the middle. This time it's to Austin Bolton, the freshman out of Poplarville. Boy, and if that isn't insult to injury, Bolton gets to play against his hometown team, as it were, against Pearl River as he went to Poplarville High, and doesn't get the first down, but it's about a half a yard short.
They may have to measure this. This is very close.
And while we get the opportunity, don't forget to text us. Time for our Wildcat roll call. Text us at 601-310-7077. That's 601-310-7077. Let us know where you're watching the game from. We'll give you a shout out if there's a player you want to say hey to. As we say down here in the South, we'll be glad to do that as well as the chain gang comes in from across the way. Pearl River will end the season next week up in the Delta. Clarksdale will provide the host city status as the Wildcats will travel to take on Mississippi Delta, and it looks like the Bulldogs got it by the nose of a football. And Patrick Foy, the referee today, signals such. And so 1st and 10 for Gulf Coast, leading this game 14-0.
A resurgent Mississippi Delta team. If they win today, Kelly, it's not going to happen because of who Northwest plays next week, but they would still be alive for a playoff spot going in the final week of the season. But more importantly for them, they could put themselves in a position to have a winning season if they come up with a win today going into the Pearl River finale next week.
Whistles blow and flags fly before this play can develop. It looks like this will go against Gulf Coast on a false start.
Yeah, slot receiver started too early, Denzel Carter.
Not only, you mentioned Mississippi Delta, who Pearl River will play next week. Captain D. David Sutton, let's face it, Delta had difficulty literally scoring points the last couple of years, let alone winning football games.
I believe that last season, I'm almost positive they didn't get to 30 total points on the season. I believe they averaged just over 3 points a game. And this year they have turned it completely around.
1st and 10, handoff left side, being tripped up on the play is Austin Bolton. Good pursuit there by the Wildcats' Jaden Ridgway. Ridgway's got a promising future here for PRC out of Pascagoula, where he was a Panther. Loss on the play. Well, maybe a gain after the false start of about a yard. 2nd down and 14. 1 minute, 48 seconds left to go here in the first quarter.
Gulf Coast 9 carries for 7 yards. And in the pregame meeting, they said you got to stop the run. They're doing that, but they just haven't been able. It's 2 long passes. It's been the entire offense for Gulf Coast.
Swing pass out to the left sideline again, and that pass is caught by Gray. Another reception, Sedevin Gray on the reception.
And here we go again, Kelly, a 3rd and long. There have been 3rd and longs. There have been 4th and longs. The Wildcats have just had all kinds of trouble getting off the field on these first 3 possessions. Here's another opportunity here on 3rd and 10.
Boy, you know when Terrence Monroe comes in for Pearl River, the freshman defensive lineman, 6'6", 390 pounds out of Petal, Mississippi. That is some serious beef up front. 3rd down and 10 now for Chance Lovertich. Penalty markers again, and we might get a delay here against the Bulldogs, or did they call a timeout prior to? They did not. It is a delay, and that'll march the Bulldogs back. But not trying to be funny here, Captain D, but the Bulldogs seem to work well in 4th and double-digit yardage to go plays.
Well, you don't want to speak in too grandiose terms here. We're still in the first quarter, but it's 3rd and 15. You've given up 2 consecutive touchdown drives on the first 2 possessions. This is a must stop for Pearl River, or Mississippi Gulf Coast may be heading downhill easily for the rest of the ball game, you'd think.
This is just a 3rd down play, but it is about 15. Lovertich with all kinds of time. Does roll a little bit to his right, looks at his receivers, has a man wide open at the 20-yard line, and making the grab there at the 10, getting down to about the 10-yard line is Marquise Bridges. A great receiving core, and when you give Lovertich that much time, and when you have 5 Division I offensive linemen protecting your quarterback, it's pretty easy to see why his pass percentage is so high. And he's thrown 11 touchdowns, but yet just 1 interception on the year. Well, 12 touchdowns now.
He's already thrown. It's over 150 yards on the ball game. We're still in the first quarter.
1st and goal. Lovertich wants to throw again. This time he is under a little bit of pressure. And finally the Wildcats get him, and down he goes at the 15-yard line. 2nd tackle on the day for Dezekius Chapman, the freshman out of Lake. For Pearl River, a loss back to about the 17-yard line, and that is the end of the first quarter. It's Gulf Coast 14, Pearl River nothing. Back in just a moment. You're watching Wildcat football on PRCCmedia.com.
Southern Miss to the top. Let's go Eagles!
It's another exciting year as we support the Golden Eagle team.
We're all in for Southern Miss football.
How about you? You'll find the best teams for customer service and price. At Pine Belt Chevrolet, Courtesy Ford, and Pine Belt Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. From tough trucks to your favorite SUVs to performance and fun, we're all in for you.
Southern Miss to the top. Southern Miss to the top. Let's go Eagles!
It's another exciting year as we support the Golden Eagle team.
We're all in for Southern Miss football.
Southern Miss to the top. Let's go Eagles!
As we head to the second quarter of play, Athletic Director Jeff Long down on the field saluting Mo Landry, the Pearl River baseball player who was drafted by the Los Angeles Dodgers. Who do you like, the Brewers or the Dodgers in Game 7, Captain Dave?
I like the Brewers. I think that they, before it all started, I said Brewers Red Sox. I thought the Milwaukee was playing the hottest and best baseball going in, and they're one game away from making it.
Well, Milwaukee may well indeed, but I'm cheering for the Dodgers with Mo Landry being a Dodger and Brian Dozier from Southern Miss now also a Dodger. I'd like to see him give it a shot. Second down. Lovertich wants to throw to his right, then throws over the middle. It's tipped and intercepted at the 10-yard line. A break for Pearl River. Back to the 20-yard line. Lovertich throws an uncharacteristic pick.
Hang on, though. There's a flag down in the secondary.
Reggie Williams made the grab. Referee Patrick Foy will sort this one out.
And it's offsides against Pearl River.
Oh, boy.
That's painful.
So the Bulldogs will not only retain possession, but get 5 yards on the play.
2 fourth-down conversions, Kelly, on the first drive, the last of which was just a heave toward the end zone that found its mark. In the second drive, you have a third and very long that ends up being a heave that's answered on an unbelievable catch, by the way. The receiver, Mystical McGee, tipping it to himself. And now you get an interception to get off the field, and someone who lined up offsides who had nothing to do with the play all the way to the near side of the field keeps this drive alive.
Second down and goal from the 11-yard line. Gulf Coast retaining possession. They are now inside the Red Burrito red zone. Red Burrito bringing south of the border menu favorites north of the border, located inside Hardee's in Poplarville. And whistles blow again.
This one's going to go against Gulf Coast, move them back to where they were, but obviously where they were was with the football. You would, after the interception, it would have been nice for the Wildcats to be on offense right now.
Don't forget, when you go to Red Burrito and have your student or faculty ID, you get a discount every single day. No expiration date every single day you want to go at the Red Burrito in Poplarville. Proud to support Wildcat football. Lovertich spins, throws this football to the near sideline. It is corralled at about the 5. Sedevin Gray, the wide receiver out of Puckett, who has had a good day so far, makes the catch at the 5. So third down and goal coming up for the Gulf Coast Bulldogs, who already lead this game 14-0.
Fourth reception of the afternoon already, and that was just a brilliant pass by Lovertich. Nobody could catch it but his man, and he's got him in position to score again just inside the 5.
And Pearl River trying frantically to get a timeout, and they get it before the play is snapped. Ted Egger had the headphones off and was actually standing out there at about the 20 and finally got the officials' attention. So with 14-13 left to go in the second quarter, Pearl River will talk this one over. Scheduled to join us on the Hardee's halftime show today is Chris Oney, the men's basketball coach here at Pearl River. The Wildcat men are the defending MAC JC state champions, and I got a chance, Captain D, on Thursday night to see the men's team scrimmage and to see that roster, and they are crazy deep in talent. If you're a basketball fan, you've got to see this Pearl River men's basketball team. I mean, you could throw a blanket over most of their heads and pull out any 5 guys, and you're getting about the same regardless of the names. It is loaded with talent. And I know that's putting a lot of pressure on them early on, but I have a feeling that those type of guys like that pressure.
Well, there's nothing better. You can have 2 or 3 guys, but if you got depth on top of it, even if the couple of them are having a bad game, you've got plenty to step in. It sounds like Pearl River's going to have a great season.
Yeah, they might make each other better by competing for playing time. So here the Bulldogs go now, 3rd and goal from the 5. The way they've been rolling, even if they don't get it here, they may go for it on 4th. Lovertich has a man wide open in the end zone, about 5 yards deep into the end zone. Devin Gray with the touchdown reception, and Gulf Coast is now 3 for 3. Touchdowns to possessions.
Well, that was just, you could say it's too easy, Kelly, but again, when you're a defense, the offense only has 1 first down so far. The offense for Mississippi Gulf Coast is starting in your territory in great field position on short fields, and you've had great opportunities on all 3 possessions to get off the field, and you hadn't been able to do it.
Mason Hunt misses the extra point. He missed it to the right. So no good. With 14:07 left to go in the second quarter. Gulf Coast 20, Pearl River nothing. The kickoff coming your way in a moment. You're watching Wildcat Football on PRCCmedia.com.
Get treated like family at the Poplarville Eye Clinic. Poplarville Eye Clinic can take care of your basic exam needs, and their professional staff treats dry eyes, allergy issues, pink eye, and glaucoma problems. Poplarville Eye Clinic offers pediatric exams and can fit regular and specialty contacts. Need glasses? Pick from brands like Ray-Ban, Coach, Nike, and Guess. Book your own appointment on their Facebook page or stop by 1249 South Main Street in Poplarville. Call 601-795-0137.
Back at Dobie Holden Stadium, homecoming day on campus at Pearl River. In Pop Vegas, Kelly Sander along with Captain D, David Sutton, bringing you this one today. And the Bulldogs have had the Wildcats caged pretty easily here so far. Kick is away by Hunt. It'll be snagged at about the 8-yard line, looking for some running room up that sideline and finding a nice seam, and still on his feet for Pearl River. It's Tyler Polk, who is finally taken out at about the 40. I think the Bulldogs thought they had him down at the other 40-yard line, but a spin move, and he stuck his hand out there so that his knees would not touch the ground, and he got ahead for another 20.
Yeah, the kicker himself, who was coming in to make the tackle, once he did that little spin move at the Pearl River 40, he actually turned around to go get his tee. He thought the play was over, and the next thing you know, he turns around, and Tyler Polk's another 5 to 10 yards down the field, a 50-yard return. And you see the difference in the wind right there, Kelly. When Mississippi Gulf Coast was kicking off, it was 7 yards deep in the end zone. That one goes to the 10-yard line, so it shows you how significant the breeze is down there. Now Pearl River's offense working with the wind. We'll see if that makes a difference.
Tavis Williams back in running the show. The pitch to the right side, Ron Thompson, who lowers his head and gets down to about the 35-yard line. Gain of about 5 on the play. Boy, it'd be great if the River Cats could put a touchdown up here and keep it competitive with 13:35 left to go here in the second quarter. Markevian Quinn is also supposed to join us at halftime. Pearl River's quarterback last year, now at the University of Memphis. Tavis Williams keeps it himself, and he may have gotten hit late. And Tavis not too happy about that. He was already dropped, and then a man came and plopped on top of him after he was down. No flag. No gain. It'll be 3rd down and 5.
Boy, it looked like from the eye side of that Tavis Williams had done a great job pulling it away, making the right decision. But then that little shuffle move froze the defensive lineman. He had a step or two on all the defensive players from Mississippi Gulf Coast, and then Corey Proctor just tracked him down from behind. That was a great defensive play for no gain, and I think the Gulf Coast Bulldogs did get away with a late hit right there, and the referee is going all the way over to talk with the Gulf Coast sideline here. That's what the stoppage of play is.
Patrick Foy over there talking to Jack Wright, the head coach. We mentioned
I believe he's going to have to tell the band to stop playing during Pearl River offensive possessions.
Fair enough. Anything that can be disruptive in the quarterback getting his signals to, and of course the Gulf Coast fans, that does not go over very well.
But they wouldn't be playing while their offense is on the field, I can guarantee you that.
Goes over like the proverbial lead balloon on 3rd down and 5 here. Pearl River shifts Thompson to the left of Tavis Williams. Play action, swing pass out into the left flat, and it is caught, but Tyler Polk is pushed backwards for no gain on the play. It'll be 4th down and 5, and I would think under the circumstances, as there's some pushing and shoving going along after the play, that Pearl River would go for it on 4th.
Kelly, the Wildcats have completed 3 passes and have not gained a single yard. In fact, they have -11 on those 3 receptions. Once again, those defensive backs have blockers out there to keep them away from the receiver, and they are just absolutely tearing through the blocks on those wide receiver screens and blowing up that play at the line of scrimmage or behind so far. Right now, Pearl River is 3 of 7 throwing the football for negative 11 yards. This Mississippi Gulf Coast defense is playing right up in the faces of the Pearl River wide receivers.
And Gulf Coast defense really trying to encourage its fan base to make a lot of noise since the band can't play. Look out, trouble from the backside. This ball is fumbled and picked up by the Bulldog defense. He got blindsided, and Tavis Williams coughed up the football. And Bolton was there.
And getting away with, again, I know this is minor, Kelly, but Mississippi Gulf Coast taking their helmets off, throwing them up in the air. No flag for unsportsmanlike conduct, but the bottom line was that Tavis Williams didn't see him coming at all. The only time that he knew he was there was after he was hit, and the ball came free. And on a 4th down, you've seen Mississippi Gulf Coast convert twice on 4th down. Pearl River with a chance right there, couldn't do it as Mississippi Gulf Coast brought too much pressure that the Wildcats couldn't hold off of Tavis Williams.
Tyjuan Bolton got that fumble recovery and advanced it about 5 yards. Wanting to throw the ball is Lovertich. Look at him get away from a couple of defenders, but then finally is taken down at about the 40-yard line. Good job by the Pearl River pursuit to continue to stay after him, as slippery and evasive as he has been. Nice tackle on the play there for Pearl River, and making it is Janarius Johnson, the freshman defensive tackle out of Gulfport.
6-yard loss on the play, and Kelly, they've held this running attack in check. In the first quarter, they didn't get a single yard, 0 yards on 9 carries in the first quarter, but 152 through the air has been where the Bulldogs have done all their damage.
Lovertich looks to the near sideline, now throws for his intended receiver, who is hit after he initially touched the ball at about the 40-yard line. Nick Brown, another wide receiver out of Stone County, was the intended receiver, but the Wildcats had that one blanketed. Ron Baker and Corey Jackson were both there to see to that he didn't catch it.
Interesting, Kelly. I mean, maybe I'm making too much of this, but the Wildcats seem to have been woken up by all that commotion on the last play. The defense has a little bit more of a fire about them on this possession. Let's see if they can get off the field here on another 3rd down and long situation.
They've really been behind the chains quite a bit today, but they've always had an answer. This pass is thrown out of bounds.
And there you go. Finally, the punting unit comes on. A little bit of fire from the Wildcat side of things, and now if the offense maybe can put some points on the board, they can claw their way back in this thing.
Mason Hunt, who has done a good job place kicking, also doubles as the punter for the Bulldogs. He'll put a foot into it at about the 30-yard line, and it's the first time today that he's been in a punting situation. Eli Stringfellow back for Pearl River to track it at about the 15-yard line. Pearl River looks like they'll come right after it. Here come flags down. And the Wildcat defense saw somebody move, because 4 or 5 of the Wildcats were pointing at the offensive line of Gulf Coast. So it is a false start. And that'll move Hunt back about 5 yards.
We've seen 3 punts now that by Pearl River here, but we've seen 3 punts by Pearl River go 20, 24, and 25 yards so far into this win. So a chance here maybe if you get a low liner, or even if it's up in the air where it shouldn't be that far. We'll see if Mississippi Gulf Coast can have a little bit better results punting into the win.
Mason Hunt is able to get it away. It's like a Phil Mickelson lob wedge. David mentioned earlier, it gets it to its pinnacle and then just drops straight down. So Pearl River will set up shop at about the 31-yard line, trailing in this game 20-0 with 10.5 minutes or so left to go here in the first half.
They wasted an opportunity last time on offense. Remember, they started in Gulf Coast territory after the long Tyler Polk return. But here at the 31-yard line, again, good starting field position. They started to get a little bit of something going, but here they need to get a couple of first downs, need to get a little bit of rhythm, and maybe start to grab some of that momentum back.
1st and 10 for the Wildcats. Tavis Williams throws the ball backward. That might be a lateral.
think it was at the very least east and west because I saw nobody's arm ever go backward, so at least it falls incomplete, but it was close.
So 2nd down and 10 as we go to our Wildcat roll call. Checking in from the 601 area code. Shout out from Howard and Brenda Kelly. They are watching in Prentice, Mississippi, home of the former Prentice Bulldogs, now part of the Jeff Davis County program. 2nd down and 10. Of course, Ron Thompson, who's in the backfield, played for Bassfield. That also is now part of Jeff Davis County. 2nd and 10, and they give it to Thompson. Goes to the left and shifts back to the middle. He had a couple of Bulldogs draped around him there and bringing him down on the play. A couple of them, including Timmy Stewart, the defensive back out of Hazelhurst. 3rd down and about 4 for PRC on a quick count again to Thompson. Nothing in the middle. Tries the right side. Dives down up to the 40 rather, but is still going to be about a yard short.
All right, Kelly, put your coach's hat on. 4th down and 1. What do you do? At the very least, I think you try to draw them off sides here down 20.
That's what I was going to say, but Pearl River looks like it had a series of plays called. Pass out into the flat. It's caught or incomplete. Will they call that a completion? The beanbag comes down. They can't possibly call that a completion, and it looks like they won't.
But it was 4th down anyway. So
right.
Instead of recovering, say, at the 34, they're going to get the ball at the 40-yard line. And, Kelly, throwing the football today has just been impossible for Pearl River. 3 for 9 for negative 11 yards. The 3 completions have gone -9, -2, and for no gain. They have not gotten one pass play. We've played over 20 minutes of football in this time. This isn't the 1940s. You know, it's a pass-oriented game now. And Mississippi Gulf, and I'm not saying this is bad on Pearl River, Mississippi Gulf Coast is just all over every pass play.
There was very light rain prior to today's kickoff, but the sun slowly but surely fighting to come back out here on this Saturday afternoon. Homecoming on campus at Pearl River. Lovertich hands off, right straight up the middle for a gain of about 4, running into a host of 4 or 5 Wildcats, including Reggie Williams, is the ball carrier for Gulf Coast, Austin Bolton, again out of Poplarville High School. Poplarville winning District 7-4A again this year, but having a big showdown next week with Lawrence County. 2nd down and 6 as we near the 9-minute mark left to go. Lovertich handoff again to Bolton. This time, lots of room to the right side. Dives back inside and is thrown out of bounds at about the 10. And a good thing for the Wildcats that Marshall Cosma was there to take him out, or he'd taken it to the house.
Well, after holding Mississippi Gulf Coast on the first 12 carries of the ball game to -2 yards, finally some space out to the right side of the offensive line. One of those offensive linemen actually is down for the Bulldogs back at the original line of scrimmage, but that was a 22-yard pickup and into the red zone again for the 4th time today are the Bulldogs.
Not just any red zone.
It's the Red Burrito red zone.
Which makes it even more special. With 8:55 left to go, Red Burrito inside of the Hardee's location here in Poplarville. 2 for the price of 1, so to speak. 2 great menu selections, whatever you might be in the mood for. And Hardee's coming up at halftime, sponsoring our halftime show, where scheduled to be with us is Chris Oney, the men's basketball coach, and Markevian Quinn, who was the quarterback last year for this Pearl River team, now at the University of Memphis. With 8:55 left to go, yeah, that was a half-hearted attempt at an Elvis impression there for you.
You know, we're getting old, too. Some of these younger, they might not even know who Elvis is anymore. That's how old we're getting.
I'll have to start doing a Michael Jackson impression and hoping that they get that. Lovertich wants to throw. He does. Has a receiver at the 5-yard line, spinning, and taken down is Marquise Bridges. Bridges already has some receptions today, and they're now inside the 5-yard line. Gulf Coast threatening to open up a can here in the second quarter, leading this game already 20-0, and on the doorstep again for another touchdown.
Well, not taking anything away from Lovertich, but that you could see why that completion percentage is so high. These wide receivers, if it's in the area code, they're going to make the catch.
Bolton tries to run to the left side, but the Wildcats will have none of that. Reggie Williams on the pursuit there for Pearl River. Also in the area for the River Cats is Jamerick Waller, the sophomore defensive lineman out of Poplarville.
No gain on the play, but remember, Mississippi Gulf Coast, if they need it, still can get a first down. Despite the fact they're on the 3, if they get just inside the 2, they can keep this drive alive and get 4 new downs here on 3rd and about 1.5 yards.
Pearl River stacking the box. Lovertich wants to throw. That ball is tipped and intercepted at the 5-yard line. Williams bringing it back. Now cuts looking for a block. Watch out for a block in the back. Williams now to the far side of the field. Bolton will bring him down. But as it turns out, Reggie Williams gets his interception after all.
Well, if there were ever a time when you need an interception, I mean, the Bulldogs were 3 yards away from going up 4 touchdowns in this football game. And now, midway through the second quarter, a 54-yard return puts the Wildcats in Bulldog territory. Can the offense cash in with some points and really put this game back into a competitive mode? But that was a spectacular play and a much-needed play as Mississippi Gulf Coast was about to put it out of reach.
Cooper Callis on the handoff right straight ahead to Purnell. Things get pretty congested there, but he is able to forge ahead for a gain of about 2. Brings up a 2nd down and 8. You're glad for Reggie Williams because about 5 clock minutes ago, he made the interception on the other side of the field, only to find out that one of his teammates was offside, giving the Bulldogs a 1st down.
Only the 2nd interception that Lovertich has thrown all season.
2nd down and 8. Cooper Callis with Thompson to his right. Callis wants the football and gives it to Thompson. Now the end around coming to Polk on the near side of the field. Polk can't find, and now we've got a late flag back at the 50-yard line that the white hat Patrick Foy threw himself, and will Pearl River get a block in the back?
Yeah, he just couldn't get out of his pocket, Kelly. It was a hold. It was absolutely a hold against Pearl River as Donovan Hickman just was doing everything he could to keep that defender off of the runner Tyler Polk, because Polk was about to be wrestled down probably around the 50-yard line if Hickman doesn't make the play, but unfortunately he gets called for the hold anyway. The good thing is that unlike the high school rule, which I think is horrendous, it is not a spot foul in junior college. So instead of look, if this were high school, Kelly, they'd be marking that off from the 50-yard line. Instead, at least they go back to the original line of scrimmage, and it'll be 2nd and 17 for Pearl River.
Updating the Anderson Design scoreboard, Jones has drawn first blood against Colin. That's up in Ellisville. Jones College now. They lead Colin 7-0. It is homecoming up there. All of our scores brought to you by our friends at Anderson Design Center. From carpeting to tile to drapes to rugs, whatever you need, Anderson Design Center off of Highway 98 in Oak Grove. 2nd down and about 17 for Pearl River. Cooper Callis now guiding the ship, wants to throw, lofts this one up. Look out, it's thrown into triple coverage, incomplete down at about the 20-yard line. Tyler Polk was hoping to get a flag, but no such luck, and it'll bring up 3rd down and about 17 for Pearl River. The incompletion stops the clock with 6:25 left to go.
And the drought continues. Simply put, 6:25 to go in the first half. Pearl River does not have a completion that's gained a yard. I mean, that's in today's in any game, but and just coming off of last week, Kelly, Cooper Callis with a spectacular performance. Obviously, different teams, but Mississippi Gulf Coast, there has been a defender blanketing every receiver that has caught the football or been thrown the football for Pearl River today.
Callis fakes the pitch, now throws across the middle. It's caught at the 35-yard line. Making the catch is Keontae Payton, but man, did he get smoked as soon as he made that catch, but he hung on to it. It's still not enough for a 1st down. The Wildcats will just be about 1.5 yards short.
Well, they got 14 of the 17 they needed. Obviously going to go for it here on 4th down.
Callis puts a man in motion to the far side of the field. That is Polk. He will stop short. Keontae Payton is way over there. 5:50 and counting left to go here in the second quarter. Pearl River trailing 20-0, trying to find something offensively they can hang their hat on. On 4th down, Callis gives it to Thompson. Thompson is taken to the ground, short, I believe, of the 1st down. The Bulldogs certainly think so.
Well, they got him marked at the 32, needed to get to the 31. Good job by Mississippi Gulf Coast right there. We've seen earlier when the Wildcats had a 4th down on defense, they missed a couple of tackles, and Mississippi Gulf Coast was able to stretch it just across and ended up scoring a touchdown right there on first contact, able to get Ron Thompson down and short of a 1st down.
Updating the Anderson Design scoreboard, Jones has hit pay dirt again. It is now 14-0 over Colin. I really thought Colin would win that game, and there's still lots of football to be played. But Jones obviously playing well at home today. All of our scores brought to you by Anderson Design Center. Delta and Holmes are also on the MacJack scoreboard today, the toughest league in America, as Terrion Avery finds a tough yard or so over left tackle. It'll be 2nd down and 9 for the Gulf Coast Bulldogs as the clock continues to roll with 5:19 left to go here in the 2nd quarter.
And if Jones wins that game, number 1, they win the South Division. Number 2, it locks Colin into the number 2 slot, and it would eliminate the Gulf Coast Bulldogs from playoff possibility.
Regardless of what happens today, but they're playing obviously like they still have a chance, and now the penalty marker comes down before the play can develop, and we've got another false start against the visitors here.
5th penalty against Gulf Coast. All of them have been of the 5-yard variety so far.
We'll be in Clarksdale next Saturday afternoon for a 2 o'clock game. Pearl River against Mississippi Delta. The Trojans will host the Wildcats next Saturday, and that'll bring to a completion the 2018 MacJack football season for Pearl River. 2nd down and about 14. It's amazing, really, that Gulf Coast leads 20-0 when you look at all the 2nd and 3rd and 14s that they've had today. Lovertich wants to throw, has all kinds of time. A man broke free in the secondary. Making the catch there for the Bulldogs is Marquise Bridges, and the Wildcats have just not been able to contain him long enough. Bridges gets free again for another big gain for Mississippi Gulf Coast.
33 yards, Kelly. I don't know what to say. There's 3 Pearl River defenders back in the same general area as the wide receiver, yet he not only makes the catch, but he makes it relatively simply for the 1st down across the 50.
1st and 10. Lovertich and the Bulldogs get back to work. They try to put it on the ground this time. Reggie Williams sniffed it out from his linebacker position and is able to corral Terrion Avery for a menial gain of about 2 yards as we near 4 minutes left to go in the 2nd quarter.
Well, Kelly, you mentioned it, though, a moment ago. You can go a whole game and not get a half a dozen long-to-go situations. There's been double digits in this ball game, and we're in the 1st half, and Mississippi Gulf Coast has been able to convert in some way, shape, or form every single time.
Omni Wells on a nice gain there, just shy of the 1st down. Omni Wells, who already has a touchdown today, one of the Wildcats down on the field. And we'll take a quick break while we can with 3:39 left to go in the 2nd quarter. Gulf Coast 20, Pearl River nothing. You're watching Wildcat football on prccmedia.com. Third down and a yard. The Gulf Coast Bulldogs on a quick count hand it off over right tackle, and it looks like it'll be ample for Omni Wells, again the ball carrier, to about the 28-yard line. That should be enough to move the chains. And the Bulldogs move a little deeper into Pearl River territory with 3:27 left to go here in the 2nd quarter.
And as the clock winds down here, getting toward the 3-minute mark, boy, a score here by the Bulldogs. And remember, they get the football to start the 2nd half. This is a big-time defensive stand here, hopefully, by the Wildcats. They really need to keep them off the board.
Wells again on the carry, starts to the outside, cuts it back in, and gets down to about the 23-yard line. Really have not been a lot of major penalties today, but a little tic-tac, 5 yards here or there. And all in all, you can look at the scoreboard, David, and say 20-0. Pearl River hasn't played well, but the defense has really shown flashes of brilliance. But
that's the big play. The long downfield pass has been the backbreaker on all of their touchdown drives and is what's got this one still alive.
2nd down and 6. They'll try the left side, but the Cats are there. Jamerick Waller was in there, and I think Jaden Ridgway was also there for PRC. A loss on the play brings up a 3rd down and 7.
122-yard run by Austin Bolton. It is the only significant running play that Gulf Coast has had, and here we are again. We've had 3rd and way longer than this, but this is 3rd and long, 3rd and 8. The Wildcats again with an opportunity to force, well, at least maybe a 4th down try.
Lovertich with an empty backfield. He's got his receiver at the 15-yard line and trying to break free, and then the whistle blows, but they take him down anyway. Nick Brown with the reception, and it's enough again for a Gulf Coast 1st down.
Well, when you have an offensive line, though, Kelly, that picks up the blitz like that, I mean, this big Division I caliber offensive line is earning their scholarships today because they're just giving Lovertich all the time he needs to throw the football.
And this one is thrown into coverage and picked off again at the goal line. How about the Wildcat defense? Donovan Hickman.
Well, Chance Lovertich.
Check that, Corey Jackson.
Yeah, Corey Jackson on the interception. Chance Lovertich, as well as he has played, Kelly, 14 of 22, but 14 of 20 throwing the football for 221, but those 2 passes, 2 interceptions in the red zone. The last one from the 3-yard line, no less, basically through an end zone interception, has really been the only difference between Mississippi Gulf Coast really having complete control of this football game. 2 great interceptions in the red zone has at least kept Pearl River with a pulse here in this first half.
If the Wildcats could just put some pointage on the board here, as you noted, Gulf Coast gets the ball to begin the second half. Cooper Callis flings this one out of bounds. Nobody open, but didn't want to put it anywhere to where the Bulldogs could snag it and bring it the other direction. The incompletion stops the clock with 1:17 left to go here in the second quarter. 20-0 Bulldogs lead.
This is the worst starting field position for either team, oddly enough, except for a couple of touchbacks. Every drive has started at the worst-case scenario at the 30-yard line for these 2 teams, so the offenses have had their opportunities.
Cooper Callis running things this time. Fakes the handoff, and he is swallowed back at about the 4-yard line. Great pursuit by Gulf Coast Davion May, the sophomore defensive lineman out of Hammond, Louisiana, will bring up a 3rd down and about 16 for the River Cats as we get inside of a minute now left to go in the second quarter.
Boy, and Gulf Coast is doing Pearl River a favor right here. Why are they not calling timeout, Kelly? I mean, you could call timeout. It would have been 1:10 left to go and one more play, and you could have got the ball back.
And the Wildcats could have taken a little bit more time off the play clock there before handing it off to Jesse Purnell, who gets up to the 12, but they'll still need about 11 yards. And again, Gulf Coast not calling timeout.
Not calling timeout? Why would you not at least make Pearl River punt the football right here? This is an odd decision by the Bulldog coaching staff.
And really, Pearl River doesn't even have to snap the ball again.
There's no reason to. Absolutely not. If they're going to allow you to get to the locker room, you send them a thank you note.
And it looks like, as the teams will begin now to meander back to their benches, that is the case.
And it's 20-0, but it's only 20-0. I mean, why in the world would you not? I mean, if they would have used both of their timeouts there, Kelly, they would have had at least 60 seconds. Even on a punt return, 50 to 60 seconds to do something in great field position. Again, a very puzzling decision from Mississippi Gulf Coast as we head to the half.
But that's okay. 20-0 here. The Bulldogs lead the Wildcats here. Homecoming on campus at Pearl River. Coming up on the Hardy's Halftime Show, we'll be talking with men's basketball coach Chris Oney. Markevian Quinn also scheduled to join us, but Markevian might be getting caught up on all the homecoming things. May not join us, but Coach Oney is here and will join us after this break. You are watching Wildcat Football on prccmedia.com.
Hey, I'm Delana Harris from Pearl River Community College, and like football, life takes a great game plan, the right tools and equipment, and having an encouraging coach always helps.
At PRCC, we have full academic offerings for the first 2 years of college and over 40 career and technical education programs.
With personalized advising and a student-instructor ratio of 17:1, creating your game plan for success is easy.
So come join our team at Pearl River Community College and enroll with the Maroon and Gold.
We want to thank you for quickly making Pine Belt Chevrolet one of the area's biggest dealerships. We're selling a lot of vehicles because you're finding out the best price and best service are right here. And during Truck Month, you get 18% off all 2018 Silverado 1500s, plus 90-day deferred payment, and 14% off all 2018 Tahoes, or choose from a big selection of certified pre-owned. New Pine Belt Chevrolet, Highway 98 West at Bellevue. Count on it.
Southern Miss to the top. Let's go Eagles!
It's another exciting year as we support the Golden Eagle team.
We're all in for Southern Miss football.
How about you? You'll find the best teams for customer service and price. At Pine Belt Chevrolet, Courtesy Ford, and Pine Belt Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. From tough trucks to your favorite SUVs to performance and fun, we're all in for you.
Southern Miss to the top. Southern Miss to the top.
Get treated like family at the Poplarville Eye Clinic. Poplarville Eye Clinic can take care of your basic exam needs, and their professional staff treats dry eyes, allergy issues, pink eye, and glaucoma problems. Poplarville Eye Clinic offers pediatric exams and can fit regular and specialty contacts. Need glasses? Pick from brands like Ray-Ban, Coach, Nike, and Guess. Book your own appointment on their Facebook page or stop by 1249 South Main Street in Poplarville. Call 601-795-0137.
Back at halftime here at Dobie Holden Stadium, homecoming festivities at Pearl River. The Wildcats trailing Gulf Coast 20-0. Our halftime show brought to you by Hardee's, proud to support Pearl River Wildcat athletics. Hardee's here in Poplarville, where they make their buns fresh daily. And how many people can you say that about, or that make their buns fresh daily? And don't forget, with your student and faculty ID, you get a discount every single day at Hardee's. Proud, again, to sponsor the halftime show. Markevian Quinn will be joining us momentarily. Right now, the head basketball coach for the men here at Pearl River, Chris Oney, the coach of the defending state champion men's basketball team. And, Coach, good to have you here. Meet the Wildcats the other night. I got to see your team, and I don't tweet very often, but, man, I had to say, and I think my exact words are crazy deep in talent, man.
Well, I saw that, and I was a little disappointed you didn't tweet about the 10 3-pointers I hit in the basketball game.
Yeah, the students are a little bit upset, thinking that the faculty got away with something there as part of homecoming festivities. The faculty did defend its championship over the students. Way too many to way too few.
Absolutely. But no, we're pretty excited about this upcoming year. You know, as you saw, we got a lot of guys. We got some guys returning, and we had a couple of guys sitting out. You know, that's already kind of acclimated to the way we do things. And my assistant coaches did a great job of bringing a few extra pieces that I think they'll fit in pretty nicely.
Now, anytime you win a state championship, people will sit back and go, well, you know, everything. They're probably pretty good to go, even for the next year, even though at junior college you get guys for 2 years. But what did you think might have been some things you wanted? You talked about pieces. What kind of pieces? Where did you think your team needed some help?
Well, you never stay the same. You either getting worse or better. And I felt like we had to go out and sign more different makers. Even though we had a lot of guys, we had to return the leading scorer in the state. Eric Thornton coming back. We had a second leading scorer, C.J. Brim coming back. But still, I mean, other schools in the state, you know, they want to win a state championship also. So they went out and they tried to sign good players. So I felt like, you know, if they caught us, that wouldn't be good enough because we was going to try to get better players that we had coming back.
I've asked this question of coaches before, can you have too much talent? And one time a coach said, you actually can, because it gets to a point where I've got to make sure everybody gets enough playing time to keep them happy.
Well, you know? Note that this coach is not saying that. I don't think, you know, I take the Golden State Warriors approach. I don't believe in too much talent, you know. I mean, I think when you go to saying you got too much talent, then you set yourself up for something that's not true. You know, iron sharpens iron. You know, I think the more better players you have, the better the players that you have coming back will become, because they know that, you know, they want to still start. You know, guys coming in want to start, But it takes a little work to make sure all that comes together. Absolutely. But I'd much rather have a lot of good players to try to put the pieces together than have some bad players and not have enough pieces.
I know the last couple of years you've actually had trouble trying to schedule pre-district games or pre-region games because nobody wants to play you. I get that. So what are some of the things you want to try to accomplish before district, for all practical purposes, the meat of the schedule for the MACJC begins just after Christmas.
Right.
But what are some things you want to try to get accomplished before you head into MACJAC play?
Well, and I've in every interview I've done, I've said that we focus on getting 2% better each and every day. We're not even focused on MACJAC and all that stuff. We worried about practice tomorrow is what we worried about. And if I can get that accomplished with the guys coming in with the same work mentality every single day, I think everything else will take care of itself.
Chris Oney's with us. He's the men's basketball coach here at Pearl River. Coach, when you bring the kids in from high school, what is the most when we're talking about basketball fundamentals, what are they better at coming out of the high school game, and what is the worst part of their games generally coming out of high school?
Well, that's a really good question. I think the high school coaches in this state do a really good job. I think they do a tremendous job. But the most difficult part that I've seen since I've been in this league, they're not used to playing against that many good players. A lot of guys that we get were the best player on their team or the second best player on their team, and they don't play as challenging of a schedule that they will when they get here. So when they get here and they get on the floor with other guys that were the best players on their team, it's somewhat of an adjustment, But I think for the most part in this area, we always get guys that can run, jump, and dribble and attack the basket.
I've heard some of your colleagues say, I never have trouble getting my guys play offense because that's what gets them in the newspaper. I need guys to be able to play defense.
Right. That goes into toughness. That's something that we talk about and playing team defense and all that kind of stuff, which I've tried my best to simplify the way we play defense, so kids can really understand and use their physical ability instead of out there thinking so much on defense.
So you've got the opener coming up on Thursday night, December 1st.
November 1st.
November. I always want to put – I was putting that calendar a little bit ahead, but, that would be on November 1st, a week from Thursday when Delgado comes to town. And some things you want to get done prior to that first game?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Delgado's going to be a good opponent. He got a lot of guys from Louisiana and from that New Orleans area that's going to come in and play with some toughness. And, they want to go 1-0 just like we want to go 1-0. But I just want to make sure that my guys understand that last year's last year, and starting November 1st, it's a completely different mission, and I think that's what I've been most impressed with the guys, that they've come in with the same exact hunger that they had, leaving the season last year.
You were an assistant coach here at Pearl River, and then we got the head coaching position. How are you different today, Chris, than you were when you took the job over for the first time?
Night and day. Even my wife, she tells me that I've finally grown up, I guess, so to speak. I just think, as assistant coach, you're allowed to carry your emotions on your sleeve a lot more, because at the end of the day, you have a different relationship with those guys. But as the head coach, you got to hide some things from them. You got to hide some of the ways you feel about certain things that's going on, and I think I've become much better, at that, and getting to know the guys more on a different level.
Now, you're not hiding things from your wife.
Well, I even hide a few things from her.
She'll find out.
Well, yeah, I know, because every month, she want to go buy a new purse, and I said, baby, we out of money, so I got to hide some money from her.
And it's always those Louis Vuitton type of deals, too, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you've got to really congratulate. I mean, you haven't played a game yet, but having seen you guys, I think it's going to be a lot of fun at the White Coliseum this year.
I think so, too. I think, people, if they're not doing anything on Mondays and Thursdays, I think they can come out and be kind of entertained, from some of the guys. It's so funny that you walked up, and obviously Chris Agbo gets a lot of attention now, because when you see him, he's a specimen, so to speak. But to watch him jump up in the air and dunk a basketball is worth the price of admission.
Yeah, Chris Agbo, this guy's, 6'8" and about 270?
Yeah,
I mean, it's 265 on paper, but he's bigger than 260.
275.
Yeah, and about 5% body fat. This guy is amazing.
Yeah.
And you got him out of Jacksonville Community College.
Yeah, Tallahassee.
Tallahassee,
over there.
That's right.
He was there for prep school. He's been here 5 or so years. But, we got the kid from LSU, Rachel, which is going to be a really, really good player. Then we had a few guys, Jerez Porter, that was sitting out. That's going to come in. It's going to help us a lot. He done fabulous over in Dallas when we played over there. And then, obviously, we got Eric Thornton, who's on an official visit to Southern Miss right now as we speak.
And I thought, until I've seen some of the guys this year, Eric Thornton is the best player at that age I've seen since Chris Jackson. That's me saying that.
Yeah, well.
I've seen a few.
I actually changed my name to Chris after I watched Chris Jackson play, so I'm not going to change my name to Eric after watching Eric play. But Eric's tremendous. You know, he works extremely hard at it, and he's good at what he does.
It is going to be a great season, a fun season, and it all begins on Thursday night, November 1st. That's the night after Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
Join us at the White Coliseum, where every basketball night at the White is special. Chris Oney has been with us, the men's basketball coach. Continued success, and not only on the great season, but after the 100% grade A whooping you put on the student all-stars the other night as part of homecoming festivities. I know at least 9 3-pointers that you put up.
I quit counting after 9.
Nothing but net. Easy money, Chris Oney has been with us. Thank you, Coach.
All right,
thanks so much. Joining us now, Markevian Quinn's been up here in the press box getting a bird's eye view along with the rest of us. Markevian, the quarterback of this Pearl River team, last year now at the University of Memphis. And not only at Memphis, but certainly hasn't forgotten where he comes from, because when we ask for our Wildcat roll call, Markevian's always texting in saying he's watching the game in Memphis or wherever you might be. Good to have you back, man.
Oh, yeah, it's glad to be. It's good to be here.
Yeah, did you just get here today, or have you been in for?
I came in last night, yesterday.
Gotten to catch up with a lot of the guys.
Yeah, surprised them. Only like a few knew. The rest of them didn't know.
You look amazingly sober for homecoming. I just remember. I guess athletes are a little bit different than when I went to homecoming, back in the day. But take us back through the recruiting process and how the Memphis thing all came about.
So I got hurt in the spring, and then they kind of like slowed my recruiting process down.
Right.
And Memphis instead was in contact with me, talking to me and everything, and my mom stays up there, so that's like a second home.
Mm-hmm.
So I just decided to commit. I committed June the 28th, and then they found a way to work with my ACT score,
mm-hmm.
and then they super scored, and I was a qualifier, and I ended up qualifying, so I was able to leave after the summer, and I came up at fall camp. And yeah, that's how it happened.
So what's been the biggest adjustment, not athletically and academically, from Pearl River to a big school like Memphis?
Academic, it wasn't a big difference. Caught on real well. Classes are easy. I mean, you just got to put a lot of work in, make time for your schedule, knowing you got football. But football-wise, just learning the playbook and just rehab and getting back right.
So where are you now on the depth chart? How are things going, and what's new with Memphis?
I'm at the bottom right now, just worried about I'm worried about the spring.
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to play the last 4 games, whenever I get released. But I'm going to just kind of really focus more on spring, because springtime, that's when I'm really ready to compete. This is a rehab process right now.
Yeah, now Pearl River's about, a 6.5, 7-hour drive from Memphis, somewhere?
Five.
Just 5, yeah. Okay. Which is still a pretty good hump, though, to come. What made you want to come back for homecoming?
I knew that we was traveling to Missouri, and I had an opportunity to come for homecoming. And coach was I told him I was going to come home for homecoming. And after practice Friday, went to my room, got everything situated, and left.
And obviously the sun's starting to come out now, so it looks like it's going to be a fun weekend.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you've been treated like a rock star too since you got back. Huh?
Yeah, they tweeted me out.
Yeah, tweeted you out. Now that's a term. That's got to be a new term. Tweeted me, because they weren't tweeting anything out 5-6 years ago. It just seems now like now everything's going on. What are you studying at Memphis?
Health studies.
So what's the dream job besides playing in the league? Everybody wants to play in the league, but
PT. Physical therapist.
Physical therapist.
Yeah.
If you've ever been through physical therapy, you call them physical terrorists sometime. But Markevian, I know you didn't have to do this interview. You had a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
But the fact that you took time to come out and say hey to us, we appreciate it. And as much as you continue to follow Pearl River,
yes,
a lot of Wildcat fans will be following your progress and career in Memphis, and you're the only reason I would even cheer for Memphis. Okay? So you've got that responsibility on your shoulders. But again, thank you for being here, and nothing but the best.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Okay, hang with us for just a second. Markevian Quinn has been with us. The band is going to perform here at halftime. We're going to take a 2-minute break, and when we come back, Captain D. David Sutton will rejoin us not only with an installment of the Captain's Log, but he'll also take a look at the playoff picture in the MACJC. That's still to come as we're at homecoming here at Pearl River. The Wildcats trailing Gulf Coast 20-0. You're watching Wildcat football on PRCCmedia.com. Homecoming festivities continue here at Dobie Holden Stadium, where the presentation of the maids took place, and now the Spirit of the River performing their tribute to Kool and the Gang in front of the homecoming crowd now as the sun comes out on this very pleasant, as it turns out, Saturday afternoon. The only thing that hasn't been pleasant is the scoreboard, where Gulf Coast leads Pearl River 20-0. And the band will be finishing up. But in the meantime, here on the Hardee's Halftime Show, brought to you by Hardee's, recently voted by Consumer Reports the best tasting hamburger in the country. Hardee's here in Poplarville, always helping out Pearl River Community College athletics and students. Don't forget that discount every day with your student and faculty ID. Just a stone's throw from the campus. Anytime you need a break studying, Hardee's is open, waiting for you. Hardee's is a sponsor of our halftime show. And now here to bring us up to speed as to how we got to this 20-0 score and a look at the MAC JC playoff picture. It's time for Captain D. David Sutton with another installment of the Captain's Log.
Well, how we got to this score, Kelly, is it could be a really short installment if we wanted to make it that way. 3 long passes. That's the difference in the ball game. On the opening drive by Mississippi Gulf Coast, the Wildcat defense not only forced 1 4th down situation, but 2. On the first 4th down situation, and this was from Mississippi Gulf Coast starting in Pearl River territory at the 46-yard line. On a 4th down and 2, a little swing pass. Not 1 but 2 Wildcats had the opportunity to get the running back down, who was the receiver on that, Terrion Avery. Couldn't quite do it. Avery just stretches the ball across so it moves the sticks. Well, 3 plays later, it's 4th down, and actually it's 4th down and 12. The ball moves backwards a couple of yards. Wildcat defense with another chance to get off the field. Lovertich doing what a quarterback should do in that situation. Under pressure, really just threw it up for grabs down around the end zone because there's no reason to take a sack if it's intercepted. So be it, but it finds its way into the hands of his receiver, and 1 play later, a 1-yard run by Terrion Avery had the Gulf Coast Bulldogs up 7-0 after the first possession had been had by both teams. On the very next possession, the Bulldogs again facing a 3rd and very long around midfield. 3rd down and 14 to be exact. And Lovertich does it again. Another heave down the field. Another prayer is answered, this time by the appropriately named Mystical McGee. As Kelly said earlier in the broadcast, it was a mystical catch. As he was diving, not only did he get his hand on it, he had to tip it up in the air back to himself. But he made the catch. The ball down around the 7-yard line, and they were able to cash in from there as well with a little swing pass to Omni Wells. 14-0 was the score at that point, and that was where we were at after 1 quarter of play. But then right after the beginning of the second quarter, again threatening at the end of the first quarter down in the red zone. They flipped the field, but they do not stop their drive. It ends up being another touchdown, this time to Sadavian Gray. Gray, who's got 5 receptions in the first half, but the Wildcats on that possession, no long pass at the very end, but they actually get an interception and turn the ball over, run the ball down the field, but a flag of someone who was lined up offsides. Again, the flag had nothing to do with the pressure, nothing to do with the interception, but after getting the interception, getting off the field and keeping the score at 14-0, the interception kept the drive alive, and Mississippi Gulf Coast was able to cash in. Extra point, no good, and that's why we're at our 22-0 score. And to be quite honest, that's about as good as it can be. After that 20-0 score was put on the board, Mississippi Gulf Coast drove down into the red zone not once but 2 more times toward the end of the half. But this time, 2 interceptions that were not called back turned those drives away, one of which, with up 20-0, right around the 6-minute mark of the second quarter, at the 3-yard line no less, Lovertich threw a deflected pass into the end zone, intercepted by Pearl River. That might have been a backbreaker, kept the Pearl River team with a little bit of a pulse, and then again, late in the half, in fact with less than 2 minutes to go to be exact, another interception kept Mississippi Gulf Coast off the board. But the statistics, sometimes they lie, sometimes they don't. these stats show a dominating performance by Gulf Coast, and it does kind of stamp that score that we have on the scoreboard. Overall, Mississippi Gulf Coast has 256 yards of offense. Only 35 on the ground, though, but 221 in the air, and of that 221 yards, 130 of it coming on just 3 completions, 3 long completions, all in the 3 touchdown drives are the catalyst to those scores. But in the end, again, 35 on the ground, 221 through the air, 256 overall. For Pearl River, they just have not been able to get anything going. 31 yards on the ground, 3. Yep, you can count them on one hand. 3 fingers, 3 yards through the air for a total of 34 yards. Ron Thompson is the only bright spot offensively, averaging 5 yards a carry, 7 carries for 35 yards. The rest of the Wildcats have 6 rushes for negative yardage, and through the air, Cooper Callis completed a pass late in the first half to at least give the Wildcats positive yardage. Overall, though, 4 of 12 to be exact, throwing the football for just 3 yards. This Mississippi Gulf Coast defense has been stifling. It has blanketed Pearl River's defenders, and they just have got to find a way to be able to balance things out, move the sticks, and get some points on the board. Now, this Gulf Coast team still alive for a playoff spot. They need to win twice, and they need some help. In fact, what they need is they need to win twice, and they need Jones College to lose twice. That would put them in a 3-way tie and give them the potential, and they probably would, except for a very outside possibility. They would win that 3-way tiebreaker situation. But right now, Gulf Coast is holding up their end of the bargain, but in action today on Saturday, the big showdown between Jones and Colin, Jones is winning that game 14-3 at the half. If Jones wins that game, that finishes things off actually in the South Division. It would give Jones the number 1 slot, and it would put Colin and lock them in as the number 2 seed. Now, if that score flips in the second half, what would happen? Colin would then win the South Division, and Jones must beat Itawamba next week. East Central next week to get in to the playoffs. So that's the situation in the South. Up north, Kelly, obviously East Mississippi has got the division title locked up. All they're trying to do is hold their number 1 ranking in the nation next week. Win or lose, though, they've already won the North. And Northwest, barring that, not only would they have to lose to Itawamba next week, they'd have to get crushed by Itawamba next week, because even if they lost, they could get into a 2 or 3-way tie situation. But Northwest, to clinch things, needs to beat Itawamba next week to hold down the number 2 seed, and they'll be heavy favorites to do so.
You know, it really looks like when you look at the history of the MACJC, the North, it's been pretty boring, because it's been East Mississippi and Northwest.
Yeah, 1-2.
And every once in a while, one of them, like a mosquito, will, pull an upset somewhere. But when it comes to playoff time, it's always East Mississippi and Northwest. Now, the South has been a little bit more of a spinning, lazy Susan turntable of different champions and so on. But Jones playing very well today at home in Ellisville. Homecoming day up at Jones College as well, as David mentioned, leading 14-3. But Gulf Coast, you would think if their coaches at Gulf Coast knew what was going on, they're certainly not going to say anything, because they want their kids playing at 100% here in the second half. No lead in the MACJC is safe, although the Bulldogs will receive the football to begin the second half of play. Our halftime is always brought to you by our friends at Hardee's in Poplarville, sponsor of Pearl River on the web. Hardee's always sponsors every sport. In basketball, they sponsor trivia questions on basketball night at the White, giveaways at the baseball field at the new Dub, as they call it, Dub Herring Field over here to our left at Pearl River. You can always count on Hardee's, the sponsor of our halftime show. Bulldogs leading Pearl River 20-0 at half. We'll be back with the second half kickoff after this timeout. You're watching Wildcat football on PRCCmedia.com. Back at Dobie Holden Stadium, the Bulldogs and Wildcats getting ready for the second half of play here. Pearl River will kick it off. Will Lang to boot it away. Again, the Bulldogs playing as if their playoff lives are indeed on the line, as they are. Taken by Spann. On the kickoff return, he gets spun. Spann gets spun, but brought down at the 20-yard line. On the special teams tackle is Peyton Graham, the freshman linebacker out of Poplarville. And the Bulldogs will start 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line, working south to north or right to left here at Dobie Holden.
By far, their worst starting field position of the game, Kelly. Mississippi Gulf Coast average starting field position in the entire first half was the 45-yard line and started 3 possessions inside of Wildcat territory.
Chance Lovertich out of Jackson Prep at quarterback. Boy, Prep suffered an uncharacteristic loss a couple weeks ago. Not a whole lot of room at the end there on the run straight ahead here. Gain of maybe a yard on the play. MRA and Jackson Prep, did they play last night? Or they play?
That was 2 Fridays ago.
Oh, that's right. MRA put it on them, didn't they?
Any loss is uncharacteristic, but a 2-touchdown loss, that's unheard of. The last loss actually by Jackson Prep in the regular season was over 2 years ago against PCS, and that was a 3-point loss.
Handoff again, trying the right side this time and getting up to about the 25-yard line, leaving them about 5 yards short. On the carry for the Bulldogs is Blankenship, the fullback, out of Blankenship there from Gautier, where he was a Gautier Gator. Terrion Avery also, actually Avery got that carry. Blankenship with the lead block for him.
3rd down, a chance for a 3-and-out for this Wildcat defense to really kind of set the tone here, hopefully in the second half to start things off.
3rd down and about 4 with trip receivers to the near side of the field for Lovertich from the far hash. Looking up the middle, now he swings it out to the right, incomplete. It's 4th down, and you would think this deep there's no way that the Bulldogs would go for it on 4th down, although nothing seems to surprise me anymore. And the punting unit is dispatched for Gulf Coast.
And they are punting into the wind. It's died down a little bit, but this is an opportunity. A 3-and-out, that's exactly what you could have written up, besides a turnover possibly, for the defense. And now you might have a great opportunity here to give your offense good field position and a chance to cut into this lead.
Mason Hunt to boot it away at about the 11-yard line. A quick 2-step drop and gets a nice low liner that is fielded by the Wildcats at the 32-yard line, but taken down almost immediately is Dwayne Lee, the sophomore out of Oak Grove High School. Oak Grove beaten last night by Brandon after holding a lead for most of the night, and the Warriors let that one slip away over in Lamar County last night. So here come the Wildcats, 1st and 10 from their own 30, working left to right with 13.5 left to go here in the 3rd, and looking for any type of pointage here so far.
Well, that's a good job by the punter for Gulf Coast. Did you see it was a low liner? He didn't let it get up in that wind, because we've seen every time it knocks it down. That was a 45-yard net punt right there. That's as good as you could have asked for.
1st and 10. On the delay, Ron Thompson breaking free. Down the sideline, Thompson runs out of bounds, and then did he get tripped or he got hit? He got hit, and the penalty marker comes down late. At about the 30-yard line, I'm not sure which of the Bulldogs, either Rotarian Johnson or Derek Beckham, hit him after he was out of bounds. Thompson ran himself out of the play, it appeared from our vantage point, and then took a shot after he was out of bounds.
Looks like they're going to spot him out of bounds at the 30-yard line, Kelly. So you're going to get the full 15-yard mark off if that's the call. It is, and so a 40-yard run turns into a 55-yard gain, a 3-and-out, and one play later, the Wildcats have their deepest penetration into the Red Burrito red zone. This is an opportunity for the Wildcats to really grab the momentum early in this half.
As a lobbyist for Ron Thompson, I would like to lobby for my client to get the 15-yard pickup.
They actually said he stepped out at the 42. So still, though, at the 27-yard line, great position here for the Wildcat offense.
But the running back doesn't get credit for those 15 yards, although it'd be nice. There's a pass out into the flat, but the Bulldogs have been all over the short passing game for Pearl River today, as Donovan Hickman, the tight end, got smoked immediately after making that catch. Loss may be on the play of about a yard, brings up 2nd down and 11. Here is Pearl River trying to get some points on the board and take the goose egg off of the Jumbotron.
4 completions. 3 of them have gone backwards.
Hand off again to Thompson. They try that stretch play, and they run into nothing but trouble. And he maybe got back to the line of scrimmage before he was dropped by Darius Townsend, the sophomore linebacker out of Laurel. Brings up a 3rd down and 11 now for the River Cats, who every time they've gone to the air, it just hasn't worked.
And really outside of field goal range, most likely. This is probably, barring a sack, 4-down territory. So you got 2 downs. You don't have to get it all in one right here, but Pearl River really needs to turn this into some points.
Thompson is to the left of Tavis Williams. Williams is in trouble, and he gets sacked. The ball comes loose at the 40-yard line, and it's picked up by the Bulldogs. We got a block in the back by the Bulldogs, so this will come back. It'll all be for naught. Running it back all the way was Darius Townsend, but really a needless block in the back by the Bulldogs.
Absolutely, Kelly. And I'll tell you, Ivory Scott, he should get a Academy Award right there.
Supporting and leading actor.
Yes, I don't even know if that was a block in the back. He to his credit, he knew he had no chance.
Right.
To track down the scoop and score right there, but he almost created the contact and then went down to the ground with flair, let's say, and they still are talking about it though. Let's hope they don't pick this up, because Ivory Scott, if this holds, will at least have saved a defensive touchdown with a nice bit of flopping.
I was going to say, Ric Flair in professional wrestling was always the king of the dive like that, and I would never suggest that Ivory Scott was faking it, because he's a really big dude, but he's smiling and shaking. He knows he got away with one.
And actually, when he got up and saw the flag, he pointed at the referee, almost trying to give him the golf clap right there.
Like, you didn't miss that one.
Thank you very much, but. Unfortunately for Pearl River, another scoring opportunity goes by the boards, and the Gulf Coast fans are booing, and, we're trying to keep it fair here. I kind of agree with them right there. But in all seriousness, if you're one of the defenders that are escorting your man into the end zone, you knew he was 5 yards beyond everyone. All you had to do was just get away from everyone, and it would have scored. So,
and as you mentioned, when Ivory Scott knew he was beaten, he did his job in trying to get the flag, and that's exactly what happened. So now new quarterback in for Gulf Coast, Lowell Narcissi. The handoff goes up the middle out of St. James, Louisiana. Narcisse, Lowell Narcisse, spelled Narcisse.
Narcisse, more of the running quarterback for Gulf Coast. He actually has a half a dozen rushing touchdowns on the season while completing just under 50% of his passes.
He looks physically a lot like Byron Leftwich when he played. You remember with the Jaguars and with Marshall. Narcisse on a low snap, he'll have to run this one himself, and does some nifty footwork to actually make something out of nothing. Picked up about 2 when he should have been dropped behind the line of scrimmage. The Bulldogs are in a quandary somehow, looking at the referee like what was that all about? But no penalty markers down, and it looks like one of the River Cats is down, and that's big Terrence Monroe. And it's a good thing Terrence got up on his own, because it would take 2 or 3 guys to get him up.
Notice how nobody from the sideline rushed out.
Yes. Boy, Terrence is a big dude,
he is
isn't
a big guy.
3rd down and about 5 for Perk with 10 minutes, 50 seconds left to go in the 3rd quarter. Gulf Coast leads Pearl River 20-0. Wildcats are still within striking distance. They can get something to happen. There is a left-handed pass that is tipped and intercepted. We just talked about Pearl River getting a break. This is Juan Nelson. Nelson running toward the end zone. He gets tackled. Or not Nelson. It's Ron Baker. Ron Baker takes it down inside the 5, and the Wildcats have a 1st and goal inside the Red Burrito red zone at the 3-yard line.
Kelly, how about this defense? Lovertich had only thrown 1 interception the entire season. Coming in, he's got 2 on his ledger today. Narcisse had only thrown one interception on the entire season, and on his first throw, he's thrown one. The only thing you wish is he would have gotten 4 more yards out of the deal to go ahead and punch it in the end zone. This offense has got to come up with a score right here from the 5-yard line.
Narcisse, we talked about him looking physically like Byron Leftwich. Isn't Leftwich a left-hander as well?
No, he's a righty.
He is a righty, okay. All right, 1st and 10 here. 1st and goal, rather, for the Wildcats. The give and go, right straight ahead. Purnell gets clotheslined at about the 1.5. He did get positive yardage, but I saw the big man, Lucky Davis, the 6'3", 340-pounder out of Macomb, get his left arm up in the air, and a la the WWE did clothesline him. Handoff again to Purnell, and he's across the line into the end zone. That's a Wildcat touchdown.
Jesse Purnell, his first touchdown run of the season, and boy, did it come at a nice time. The Wildcat defense gets a 3-and-out and then interception. They basically have taken things into their own hands here in the second half, and Pearl River is kind of digging their heels in and getting back in this football game. Mississippi Gulf Coast missing opportunities over and over at the end of the half, kept Pearl River hanging around, and now all of a sudden they're back to within 2 scores.
Max Crawford out of Oak Grove will hold this extra point for Will Lang. Boy, how many picks for the Wildcats today? 3.
And 1 called back because of a penalty.
Placement's down. This kick is up, and this kick is good, but a penalty marker flies.
This might be on the defense for leverage, Kelly.
It's where one guy would jump on another guy's back in order to try to block it.
Right.
Well, the Wildcats are coming off the field, so they'll obviously decline it, whatever it is. It's against Perk. So
we'll see. Actually, I'd like to see what the call is, because if Pearl River can take this on the kickoff,
which it looks like they're going to, referee Patrick Foy is kind of pointing that direction. It is a personal foul.
There it is. That's 15 yards, Kelly. Look, you're going to kick the ball from midfield. What better time to maybe try an onside kick, an unexpected onside kick, to see if you can really grab control of the momentum right here. Even if it doesn't work, you're not giving that great a field position away. This might be an opportunity for Pearl River to dig into its bag of tricks because of the penalty.
We see last year's quarterback and our Hardy's halftime show guest Markevian Quinn down on the sideline encouraging his teammates. Of course, a lot of these guys were his buddies last year. So Lang will tee it up at the 50 with 10:04 left to go, and Pearl River has made itself a major pain in the side of Gulf Coast all of a sudden. The Bulldogs have not taken very good care of the football passing-wise today. There's Lang's kick. It's a low liner that will skid through the end zone, actually hits the base of the goalpost. So Gulf Coast will start 1st and 10, and after it looked like Pearl River's offense had flatlined, there is a pulse at this point, but can the defense for Pearl River create yet another turnover with 10:04 left to go here in the third?
Well, the decision to bang it through the end zone right there tells me, Kelly, that Coach Ted Egger, he's down there on the sideline. He's a defensive-minded coach. He's a defensive coordinator. He feels that his defense is really starting to, get its foothold in this game. He would rather go ahead and let his defense pin Perk deep here and get the offense back that way.
And very quickly, the starting quarterback is back in, Chance Lovertich, and he hands it off right straight ahead for near first down yardage. Tackled on the Kyron Norwood on the tackle, and the runner on the play was Terrion Avery. They'll spot him just short by about a yard, 2nd down and a yard. And I would expect too, David, with some of the disasters that have happened in the aerial attack for Gulf Coast, that the Bulldogs, as long as they can find even moderate success on the ground, that's where they will keep it as they hand it off again and straight ahead for a first down. Avery again on the carry under the watchful eye of Corey Jackson, the sophomore linebacker.
Well, remember we talked about this offensive line with 5 D1 guys that are on it that are going to be playing Division I football at some point. Really, the Wildcats have done a good job up front in the trenches, because Terrion Avery came in averaging 6.5 yards a carry. He's only got 11 carries for 29 yards, and he's their leading rusher in the ball game.
1st and 10. Lovertich on the give and go again, right straight up the middle. Avery again, maybe got 3 or 4. And again, I would expect that they're going to spoon feed these running backs play after play after play because Gulf Coast has really been spinning its wheels offensively through the air. That's a pickup of 4. Second down at 6 with 8:45 left to go here in the third quarter. Pearl River has closed the gap between themselves and Gulf Coast 20-7. Second down, another handoff. Right straight ahead again, and a pickup of about 2. Boy, you talk about old school football. That's exactly what this is, over right tackle, over left tackle.
There's Omni Wells on that. And Kelly, you know, to further your point, again, obviously some people hear this, they go, well, they all count, right? But really, 3 long throws, and 2 of them were desperation heaves that were answered, really kind of fattened up those passing numbers in the first half. The Wildcat defense now shutting those plays down. Mississippi Gulf Coast having trouble moving the sticks.
Lovertich throws on an inside slant. It is caught at the 50-yard line, and immediately going to the ground is Sedevin Gray, a wide receiver out of Puckett. He's got a touchdown catch today, and that'll move the chains at about the 49-yard line. Quickly checking the Anderson Design Center scoreboard, Holmes has scored and is leading Delta 7-0. That game is in Goodman. Holmes is at home against Delta. Of course, Delta will host Pearl River next week, the final game of the season. Holmes 7, Delta nothing. And Jones continues to lead Colin 14-3. Handoff, no room at the end there for Omni Wells as he is hit. Nice job by Keon Norwood to come up and make the tackle for Pearl River. Second down and about 10. 7 minutes, 21 seconds left to go in the third.
That name, you brought up Ric Flair earlier, back in the old days, the Omni in Atlanta, with so many of those WWE and F and all the letters that went with some of those early wrestling matches in the Omni.
Those Texas death matches. Handoff here. This will be close to first down yardage as Omni Wells is able to break free there. A tandem of Wildcats in Savaris Snow and Damian Gray on the tackle for PRC, just short of a first down, but again, the Bulldogs grinding it out on the ground.
1 4-yard slant. That's it. That's all you've had. They've just decided. They went over there and obviously had a conversation with this offensive line, I would imagine, and said, we want you to take over this ball game.
Third down and short. Handoff and look out. This is problematic for Pearl River as Austin Bolton breaks free, sprinting toward the end zone. Bolton is taken out inside the 10. Probably about the 8-yard line. We'll see where they spot it. It will be at about the 8, but a penalty marker way back here at midfield on the far side.
Yeah, hold everything, Kelly. There's a penalty marker all the way back at the 47-yard line, and I believe this one's coming back.
Well, the Bulldogs wanting to get a explanation, and it is a false start against the Bulldogs. A big break for the River.
Where's the whistle, though, Kelly? If it's a false start,
that play should have never happened.
Never happened. So I can see why they're booing, but I will tell you that down the field, one of the Wildcats who was trying to make that play was being held. That was missed. So that was a bad break there, but then you look back and saw that flag. This is one where the Wildcats got a huge break. It was about to be first and goal from the 9-yard line, but instead an opportunity for the defense to take advantage and get off the field and keep it right where it's at 20-7.
And Gulf Coast will not go for it on fourth down because that would give Pearl River a short field, and another score would get them back within 1 score. 6:05 left to go. The Bulldogs want to throw it. Lovertich up into the pocket, now flushed, and Loft he's got a man wide open, but overthrew him at the 15-yard line. Another break for the River there because Nick Brown had broken free.
And Kelly, the Wildcats got away with a late push on Lovertich. I can't believe the flag wasn't thrown. After he threw that football, I can tell you, in the NFL it would have been called. He was really slung to the ground, but the flag stays in the pocket. The pressure caused just enough of a disruption where Lovertich overthrew that pass, and what a job by the Wildcat defense, taking advantage of a flag, but they look like they're getting off the field.
Well, in the NFL, if you just blow on a quarterback, it's a flag. Fair catch called for by the Wildcats, and the Bulldogs will let it roll down to the 2-yard line or so. We'll see where the specific spot comes. I had a chance earlier this week to talk to the great Marcus Dupree, who was on a syndicated radio show in South Mississippi that I was co-hosting. And he said the rules with the quarterbacks in the NFL it's completely out of hand. He said I understand that the marquee players are the quarterbacks that people pay the $150 a game to see the quarterbacks, but he thinks that the reaction has gone too far, the other direction, and it's just gotten ridiculous. And you're going to have quarterbacks, taking flops, a la Ivory Scott, when they know that they'll get a flag. 1st and 10, Pearl River in its own end zone. This is not a good place to be. Ron Thompson tries to get to the outside, but he is brought down for no gain, maybe lost a half a yard.
Thompson had to lurch forward to get out of the end zone, out of that initial contact right there with Pearl River in that diamond formation. What that means is the quarterback starts out. He's got 2 running backs to either side, one to the left, one to the right, and one behind him. So 4 backs in the backfield trying to give him some blocking in front, but this Mississippi Gulf Coast defense, it has played very well in this ball game. They're looking to score right here with Pearl River backed up to its own 1.
Handoff again and stuffed. Did he get back to the line of scrimmage? Yes, he got out. He didn't get back to the line of scrimmage, but did get out of the end zone at about the half-yard line. So Pearl River precariously close to giving up a 2-pointer here. You said one to the left, I was an old high school cheer, one to the left, one to the right, stand up, sit down, fight. Right?
Nice.
Yeah, so here we go.
You could just tell, though, by the way this Gulf Coast defense is lined up and the way they're thinking score. They want 2 points right here. Make up for that extra point, obviously, that they missed, +1.
3rd down and about 12. Most of the Pearl River guys right on the goal line. Throw across the middle. Tavis Williams with a pass completion. Making the catch is Tyler Polk, who rambles up to the 40-yard line. That is a 1st down for Pearl River and the Wildcats. On 3rd down and 13, deep in their own territory, come up with a big play.
A big play. The biggest of the game offensively, and the first pass completion that's really went forward. A 14-yard completion earlier, but 38 yards in a critical time. There could be no better pass that he could have thrown right there. Great catch by Polk, and the yards after the catch as well.
Ron Thompson tries the middle, nothing there, goes to the left, lowers his shoulder pads, and gets ahead for about a 3-yard gain, bringing up a 2nd down and 7. Checking in to our Wildcat roll call. Coach Egger's parents are watching from Hornell, New York. Go Cats. And some complimentary words for you and I, David. Thank you from the area code 607. We'd love to hear from you at 601-310-7077. That's our text number, 601-310-7077. 2nd down and 7 with 3:11 left to go here in the 3rd quarter. The only scoring in the second half was a Pearl River touchdown, and the Wildcats may be on the move again. On 2nd down, play action. Rolling to his right, receivers open, and it's caught at the 45-yard line. And again, it's Tyler Polk. Tavis Williams found him on an out pattern at the 45-yard line, and the Wildcats are in Bulldogs' end of the field.
Well, before the last 2 passes, Kelly, Tavis Williams was 2 for 6 for negative yardage. But how about that? A 38 and a 12-yarder back-to-back. It was at the 1-yard line just 3 plays ago. Now Wildcats in Mississippi Gulf Coast territory.
And Ron Thompson will try to run it. Nothing to the left side, so he'll try the right. And he will. And it looks like we got a hold coming up here. I mean, 5 flags.
I'm not laughing at the hold, but I mean it was a siege of yellow flags that all came in at the same time. Sometimes you wonder how the referees missed something. There was nobody that didn't see that one.
KJ Breland was the wide receiver for Pearl River who was trying to seal a man off to spring Thompson, and Breland knew when the first 2 flags came out and just let go of the block.
Look, and the bottom line is he was not expecting
Thompson to be to this side.
The play to come back to him.
Right.
And so that happens a lot on those types of plays where a running back reverses his field and all of a sudden, as a blocker, you're wondering, why is he going this way? And you kind of latch on to him. But the bottom line is they actually mark it as a downfield spot, though, so it's only a 5-yard penalty. Could have been worse.
KJ Breland with some impromptu blocking there. As David mentioned, he was not expected to be involved in the play, so he had to do the best he could. First down and 14 for Pearl River. They get the down back. Purnell is in the backfield now for Pearl River. They fake it to him, and Tavis Williams throws it down the east sideline, and it's tipped and caught, and we've got a penalty marker at the 25. A catch is made, and then he dropped it out of bounds. They'll spot him at the 18, but again, a penalty marker down at about the 27.
A whole lot of contact right there, Kelly, but I got to think that's defensive pass interference, especially with the way that the play ended. And it is against Mississippi Gulf Coast. That's 26 more yards. The Wildcats have gone from their own half-yard line all the way down to the red zone right now.
Not just any red zone.
I think that's the red burrito red zone.
It is exactly, and they're right at the 20-yard line. Pearl River's offense, the offense starting to click now, and we've got the Wildcats looking to the sideline for a call being signaled in. Purnell is in the backfield, so is Donovan Hickman. They want to throw it again. Little loft across the middle, and we've got another flag on pass interference. KJ Breland was hassled as he went to make that grab.
The beautiful pass by Tavis Williams. We haven't seen Tavis Williams throw many touch passes. That was perfectly thrown, and if it wasn't pass interference, Kelly, it was going to be a touchdown. It was right on the money, but this will move it half the distance to the goal. The Wildcats now down to the 10-yard line, trying to pull themselves back to within one score in what would be trying to finish off a 97-yard drive.
Jackie Matthews, the freshman defensive back out of Pinson, Alabama, was the man that was whistled for the pass interference there. First and goal for the Cats. Trailing in this game 20-7 with 1:36 left to go here in the third quarter.
And Kelly, they gave him the full 15. They actually marked this on the 5-yard line for Pearl River, even better.
First and goal. Thompson behind Tavis Williams, who Williams has thrown the ball so well in this series. They give it to Thompson right straight ahead, but you know Gulf Coast is going to be all over him, and we've got some blocking and scuffling going on here at the 15-yard line. Look out.
And Kelly, I think this is going to go. Ted Egger is trying to get everybody off because I believe he saw what I saw. The referees, I believe, are going to call this one against Gulf Coast as well.
Chandler Phillips from Hattiesburg is the defensive back for Gulf Coast that was involved in the skirmish, along with KJ Breland, who was trying to let go. And when Chandler Phillips picked him up off the ground and almost suplexed him, the flags flew.
Kelly, you said earlier that Pearl River wants to be a thorn in the side of Mississippi Gulf Coast. They have gotten under the Bulldog skin.
Patrick Foy, the white hat today, still has not given the indication, but the Wildcat players getting the crowd on their feet, and all of a sudden this crowd has been energized by what they have seen here in the third quarter. As much as Gulf Coast dominated the first half, the Wildcats have dominated here in the second. The Zebras meeting at about the 7-yard line, still have not given us an indication as to what the flag officially is about.
Unless they're discussing offsetting, I think the only discussion here is, was it during the play or after the play? Because if it's after the play, Pearl River will lose the down, and you'd mark it half the distance from the 7. There's your unsportsmanlike against Mississippi Gulf Coast. Oh, and they're going to call it offsetting. Boy, that's actually that's a little bit of a cop-out right there. But I believe, let's see.
They get the down over.
Well, no, if they call it a dead ball foul, that's the thing to watch, Kelly. Is it still first down or is it second down? That's the big question right here.
Well, the chain gang has one.
They've got it spotted back at the 7. So they're if it's still first down, Kelly, the ball should be at the 5.
No, they're at They did change it now to second down.
So it's second down. So that was bad all around. They offset it, so no mark off against Gulf Coast, and they cost the Wildcats the down. So that 2-yard loss by Thompson will stand.
Second down and 7, essentially a touchdown. Second down and goal for Pearl River here as we get near 1 minute left to go in the third quarter. The River Cats trying to get within a touchdown. Tavis Williams wants to throw. Can't find anybody and is dropped. Back at the 10-yard line, he got tripped up by Jacoby Hearn, the sophomore linebacker out of Clinton, and here comes another penalty marker, and this will probably be unsportsmanlike against the Bulldogs.
I tell you, Kelly, this is a rivalry game, and all of a sudden it feels like a rivalry game. It felt like a one-sided blowout for quite a while, but those 2 late interceptions on those late drives in the first half, I'm telling you, it kept Pearl River in striking distance, and now they are they're a play away here from really making this game interesting.
Tight end Justin Mary out of Oak Grove has checked into the Pearl River Arsenal as it is a personal foul against the Bulldogs, and he has been ejected. An ejection. We did not get a number, but there has been an ejection.
So the ball's moved to the 5-yard line,
and it's
a first down. That's huge to get that back because it was third down, Kelly. So 4 more downs for the Wildcats inside of a minute to go here, third quarter.
Tavis Williams with Ron Thompson. They fake it to Thompson. Williams will run it himself, but he won't find very much room, and another penalty flag down.
This might be against Tavis Williams for a face mask on the straight arm.
He went out of bounds at about the 7. The original line of scrimmage there was the 5. So either way, Pearl River are inadvertent flag, so they're picking it up.
Well, that's a break because I think that was the call. I think Tavis Williams put his hand out, but I guess they're saying he didn't grab on. Maybe he just put it out and it made contact. That's big because that could have been no less than 5, if not 15 in the wrong direction. Now you're still, although second and goal after the 2-yard loss, you're still at the 7-yard line.
Wildcats have got to score a touchdown. A field goal would be almost futile.
Well, it would be a win for the Bulldogs is what it would be because they'd still hold that 2-score lead.
28 seconds and counting left to go in the third quarter. Second down and goal for Pearl River. Tavis Williams wants to throw. Can't find anybody. Rolls to his right. Throws again. Lofts it toward the back of the end zone. Incomplete. Donovan Hickman was the intended receiver. Donovan Hickman was at the far end of the end zone, the backside, but overthrew him. Smart play by Tavis Williams. That brings up a third down and goal with 13 seconds left to go.
Kelly, the difficulty here is that Mississippi Gulf Coast knows that Pearl River ain't playing for 3. So they are playing this defense, guarding against the pass because they know no run is coming right here. If Pearl River wanted to try to get creative right here, this might be a time to try a run to see if you can fool the defense.
Well, Purnell is in there, split to the left, man in motion. To the near side is Peyton. They want to throw it. Tavis Williams throws it over the head of his intended receiver, Tyler Polk. He almost took out the back judge with that throw, and that brings up 4th down.
And Coach Egger's going to send in the field goal unit. This is a tough call as a coach. You say, hey, you got 1 win. It's a rivalry game. You go for it. But if you come away with nothing right here, that's a big loss. If you could chip in 3, you at least get that and keep kind of the momentum going on your side. So I can, either way, whatever he decided and whatever the outcome, I couldn't have argued with either choice.
Because if they put this one through, it makes it 20-10. They got 10 in the third, another 10 in the fourth, and we go to OT. If everything were that simple. And now we've got movement by the Wildcats.
It looked like an illegal snap. It looked like a
delay of game.
Oh, a delay of game.
Wow.
Well, that'll make it a little more difficult.
Although a little bit more room to work for Will Lang.
Lang on the season, 4 of 6 on field goal attempts. His long is 39 yards. This is well within that. Even with the mark-off, it should be about a 29-yard attempt.
Max Crawford will hold it, the backup quarterback. Snap is back. The placement's down. This kick is up. Did he miss it left or did he get it in? He missed it left. It's no good.
Well, the good news is, Kelly, remember, the Wildcats were facing a 3rd and 12 from their own half-yard line, basically, barely getting out of the end zone on the previous 2 plays to avoid a safety. They drive it all the way down to the 5-yard line, but we have seen, this is kind of the story of the offense of Pearl River's season. There have been many missed opportunities where they just have not been able to finish off a drive, and now the defense is tasked basically with holding him where they're at and trying to keep Pearl River's offense within striking distance.
Chance Lovertich on the handoff to Terrion Avery over right tackle and up to about the 29-yard line, and that's the end of the 3rd quarter. 3 in the books here at Dobie Holden. It's gotten interesting all of a sudden as business is picking up. We go to the 4th quarter in a moment. It's the Bulldogs 20, the Wildcats 7. You're watching Pearl River football on prccmedia.com.
Hey, I'm Delana Harris from Pearl River Community College, and like football, life takes a great game plan, the right tools and equipment, and having an encouraging coach always helps.
At PRCC, we have full academic offerings for the first 2 years of college and over 40 career and technical education programs.
With personalized advising and a student-instructor ratio of 17-1, creating your game plan for success is easy.
So come join our team at Pearl River Community College and enroll with the Maroon and Gold.
Back at Dobie Holden Stadium as we head to the 4th quarter, Kelly Sanner along with Captain D. David Sutton from the 281 area code. Kalina is checking in from San Antonio, Texas. She's a big fan of Josh Booker Brown. So glad to have Kalina with us as we begin the 4th quarter of play. After that running play, we're going the other direction now. The Bulldogs have a 2nd down and 2. The handoff goes to Avery, and he gets enough for the 1st down, bounces away from a couple of Wildcats, and gets across the 40 before he's taken down.
Kelly, the Pearl River defense in that 3rd quarter did everything they possibly could, holding Mississippi Gulf Coast to just 23 yards of offense. They had 256 in the first half, 23 in the 3rd quarter, while the Pearl River offense woke up. Only 34 yards in the first half, 112 in that 3rd quarter. Of course, Pearl River with the only score of the 3rd quarter in this 20-7 game.
Jamerick Waller on that tackle for the River Cats. 1st and 10 for Perk at its own 41-yard line. Lovertich hands it off. This time the recipient is Austin Bolton. Bolton out of Poplarville High School rambles up to about the 50-yard line where he was tackled by Reggie Williams. Just short of a 1st down, but again, the Bulldogs looking to churn out yardage on the ground to try to burn up this clock and keep what remote playoff chances, at least for the time being, alive as Jones continues to lead Co-Lin up in Ellisville today. It's actually 14-9 now as Co-Lin has scored again. Holmes leading Delta 14-7. It's Holmes 14, Delta 7. All of our scores brought to you by our friends at Anderson Design Center off of Highway 98 in Oak Grove.
Well, Austin Bolton on the carry right there, Kelly, and a good stiff defensive line right there. Effort going to be very close. I think he did get enough for the 1st down, but he only needed a half a yard to get it.
And one of the Wildcats flat on his back at the 50. And Josh Smith, Pearl River's freshman out of Landry Walker High School in New Orleans, was quickly waving to the medical staff for Pearl River to come onto the field.
Well, you talked about that score earlier, Kelly. Co-Lin pulling closer. Mississippi Gulf Coast. I mean, it didn't look good there for a while, but if they can get the Bulldogs to pull out that win at Jones, these Bulldogs are right back in the playoff hunt going into the final week of the season.
And they have to play like it, but as much credit as you have to give Pearl River, David, for that 3rd quarter, it was very uninspiring by Gulf Coast in the 3rd quarter.
Well, their defense, in the end, though, that stop that the defense came up with from Mississippi Gulf Coast truly might have saved the day for them, because it is their offense now is moving the football. The Pearl River defense going to have to come up with, at the very least, a stop, but possibly with the way that the offense has been playing, they might have to score one themselves right here to get Pearl River back, to get Pearl River within a score here.
Handoff up the middle. They've been using several guys to tote the rock, and that Austin Bolton is getting most of the yardage and attempts here in the fourth quarter as we're early on. As it gets inside the 45 to the, they'll actually spot it at the 45, a pickup of 4. Second down and 6 as the clock continues to melt here with 12:55 left to go in the game.
You know, Kelly, the 32 carries for 79 yards. I mean, if you're Pearl River, you would have signed up for that before the ball game started. 2.2 yards a carry. Not a bad job by this Wildcat defense.
Chance Lovertich listed on the roster at 5'11", but I don't think he'll get that. I don't think he's that tall. Jaden Ridgway out of Pascagoula on the tackle right up the middle as he corrals Austin Bolton for no gain. It'll be a 3rd down and 6 upcoming. And again, this Pearl River defense, which has been asked so many times to make big plays, called upon to answer the challenge, is getting another request here on a 3rd down and 6 to try to get the hands back in the hands of the offense, which has definitely shown life here in the second half. Ridgway comes out, and Redante Womack out of Jefferson Davis County High School in for Pearl River. 3rd down and 6. Lovertich wants to throw. He does, and has his receiver on a crossing pattern at about the 40-yard line. Mystical McGee, the freshman out of Booker T. Washington in Pensacola, with the catch. It's a 1st down play for Perk, and the Bulldogs have another 1st down at about the Pearl River 36-yard line.
Again, that completion should be given to the offensive line. That pattern takes a long time to develop, but Lovertich not only had the time to allow it to develop, he was clean. I mean, he was not under any duress right there. Hit the 9-yard crossing pattern for the 1st down.
1st and 10 for the Bulldogs, who are looking to put this one officially out of reach. 1st down, the Wildcats might have been over the line a little bit too soon, but to Austin Bolton, following his blockers over left tackle, dives inside the 30 down to the 29-yard line, a pickup of about 7 there. And the more clock the Bulldogs can burn in this series, the happier it will make head coach Jack Wright.
Yeah, the missed extra point, though, at least allows the defense to give up 3. Because I know it's as far as you can be, but it would still keep it a 2-possession ball game right here. So it's not one of those situations where even if you give up a field goal, that's all Mississippi Gulf Coast needs, but that's all Pearl River can give up as the clock churns toward the 10-minute mark.
2nd down, some fresh legs, Omni Wells into the game and inside the 30. Still short of the 1st down by about a yard. Something that Gulf Coast has to be happy about with, too, is they're not getting a 1st down and then a 1st down and then a 1st down. They're using all 3 downs to just peck away at the Pearl River defense, using up more and more clock in doing so.
Yeah, and this is the conundrum for Coach Ted Egger. When do you sell out? When do you go all out to stop the run? And if they pass it, so be it. But trying to get Mississippi Gulf Coast off the field, and the answer was right there. The Wildcats sold out right there and got the stop.
Omni Wells goes nowhere as he was smoked by Jaden Ridgway coming across the line. If there was a defensive player of the game so far today, you'd have a good argument for Reggie Williams and for Jaden Ridgway as the lights come on here at Dobie Holden, as a light blanket of cirrus clouds have joined us overhead here with 9:34 left to go. Pearl River trailing 20-7.
This is a must stop. You can't allow this 4th down to be converted if you're Pearl River and have a realistic chance at this ball game.
4th down and about 4. Thought they were going to get the Wildcats to jump. Lovertich wants to run it himself and gets on the 2nd effort a 1st down.
Had him short. Don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
You had a quarterback who for the season has rushed for -9 yards. For the season.
But now Lovertich is down. It looks like maybe they're just working out a cramp there. Snow made the initial hit. But Snow, the 170-pounder, had to go up against Lovertich, who was pushing 190. And Lovertich just used his...
He was a full yard short. And you got to give Lovertich all the credit right there. It was his 2nd effort that got the ball across the line to gain. He's going to have to come out, and I don't know if he's going to be able to come back with the way he's limping off the field. But the bottom line is that first down just bought them another, at least 2 minutes off the clock at the very least.
And you would expect them, again, to just keep it on the ground. If it's not broken, don't fix it, and the more clock you can use, the better.
Element of surprise, to say the least, to run a quarterback on 4th and 4 who's got negative yardage for the entire season.
So Narcisse back in at quarterback, Lowell Narcisse, and he hands it off to Avery. Avery spinning and almost got away from Reggie Williams, but was dropped at the 18-yard line, short of a first down. Jones has put up another touchdown and has extended its lead 21-10 as they near the end of the third quarter up in Ellisville. Jones 21, Colin 10. If Jones wins that game, the Bobcats are the South Division champions. Second down, right up the middle. Narcisse runs it himself. The Bulldogs get the first down. The Wildcats trying to strip the pigskin away from Narcisse, but he gets to the 13. In the other game in the MAC-Jack today, Holmes leading Delta 14-7. That game has gone to half, and another one of the Wildcats is down. That's big Janarius Johnson out of Gulfport. Is Gulfport Admirals, is it? It is. Big G. But he's up on his own. His Gulfport Admiral teammates in high school looks like they're in the driver's seat to win District 4-6A.
And then lose in the first round.
Like the Gulf Coast teams always seem to do.
Gulfport, I'm an alumnus. That has not been recent. That has been forever.
I was going to say, address those letters to David Sutton. Hand off up the middle, and there's Terrion Avery. Just churning yards and burning clock, churning and burning, and that's what the Bulldogs' modus operandi is here with a 20-7 lead with now less than 8 minutes left to go in this contest.
Well, if you're coaching staff, you say, hey, well, we'd love to burn 6-7 minutes off the clock and see what we can do, but it's one thing to say it, to go out and do it. This drive approaching the 7-minute mark in this quarter as they are, and of course a touchdown would essentially put it away.
Yeah, that would be the creme de la creme for the Bulldogs as they're inside the Red Burrito red zone at about the 8-yard line. Now whistles blow before this play can develop.
Big break for Pearl River because the hole was there. That might have been the touchdown and the knockout blow, but it's a false start against Gulf Coast. The first mistake they have made on this entire drive. And again, I go back to what I said a moment ago. Pearl River needs to come up with 2 big plays right here and at the very least force a field goal attempt to give themselves an outside shot.
When we get a chance, special thanks to all of our sponsors who have made our webcasts possible this year, including Pine Belt Chevrolet in their new location on Highway 98 West between Oak Grove and Columbia. Pine Belt Chrysler and Jeep on Broadway Drive in Hattiesburg. Glad to have Poplarville Eye Center with us, and Ramey's, where you've always got quality in the bag. I actually, after the Thursday night Meet the Wildcat basketball event, I got to go tour the new Ramey's Marketplace right across at the College Square, right across the street from the campus, and they've got everything in there. Here's another penalty marker.
I think they did it again.
They did.
Same person.
Well, he needs to get out of the ball game. if I'm Coach Jack, right?
You hate on the offensive lineman because the only time they get their name called, but Sidney Wells, I think on back-to-back plays, has moved them back-to-back times, and that's the 10th penalty walked off against Gulf Coast. But this is good news for Pearl River. It went from a 2nd and 4 to a 2nd and 14, and they've almost walked themselves backwards out of the red zone.
Sidney Wells, the right tackle, there with the 2 black knee braces around his knees there to the right of the center. Out of the shotgun now, Narcisse on the handoff to Avery. Avery is being tracked by the Wildcats, and they get him out of bounds at about the 10. Wildcats almost had a horse collar over there at the 10.
Boy, that was a good run, though, because it looked for a moment like the Wildcats were going to get him down for little to no gain, but he got half of what he needed right there. And so now it's going to be 3rd down and about 6 or 7 here for the Pearl River defense. Again, this is there's no other way to say it. A must stop, obviously. Mississippi Gulf Coast may go for it here, but at the very least, you got to stop them here and give them the decision to kick the field goal.
And if they do, as David mentioned, kick the field goal, it would be a 16-point differential, but still a 2-possession game. On third down, Narcisse, he's the backup quarterback. He fakes the handoff. The left-hander rolls to his left and will take himself out of bounds at about the 15-yard line. They'll spot it at the 14.
Yeah, that's a 3-yard loss, and that loss may send the field goal unit out.
And here they come.
Had he gotten back to the line of scrimmage or gained a yard or two and it been 4th and, say, 4 or 5, they might have gone for it. But because he lost it, they're forced to try the field goal.
Mason Hunt, the place kicker out of Stone County High School, out of the hold of Marquise Bridges, who is a wide receiver.
3 of 4 on the season, as long as 33.
And this is a 30-yard kick. Plenty of distance, but did he push it? Nope, he didn't. He put it right through. With 5:57 left to go in the contest, it's the Bulldogs 23, the Wildcats 7. Back with the kickoff in a moment. You're watching Wildcat football on PRCCmedia.com. Back at Dobie Holden Stadium and updating the Anderson Design Center scoreboard, Colin has hit pay dirt again. It is now Jones 21, Colin 17. The winner of that game wins the South, correct?
Correct.
That's the way that one comes down, so they're playing for everything. That ball is fielded at the 15-yard line by Tyler Polk, and he is dumped at the 24 by Sedevin Gray. So 23-7 now. Jones and Colin playing for essentially the South Division title. 21-17 was that score. And Holmes leading Delta 14-7. Good luck to the Pearl River soccer teams. The men playing Southwest right now up at Jones in the state semifinals. That game started at 2:30. If we can get an update for you, we will certainly pass along that score. There's a handoff to Thompson, who can only find 3 or 4 yards, and now breaks away, and coaches are saying that he did not step out of bounds. And Thompson is angry, and he will get a flag. Oh, boy. They whistled him out of bounds at the 30-yard line, and the coaches reacted in a way that would indicate he didn't step out of bounds, and then Thompson protested, and when he did at the 47, he got an unsportsmanlike flag.
Well, you don't know. I'm not going to even suggest, because of how close he was to the sideline, if the coaching staff was looking at it with their hearts or they really didn't catch it. But it's one of those situations where the referee, probably because he was just so close, and it looked like his momentum was carrying him out of bounds, 99 times out of 100, and that's probably low. It's probably 999 out of 1,000. That's the end of the play either way. And so it's one of those where he may have blown the whistle thinking, of course, that's the end of the play, and Ron Thompson just did something a little bit superhuman there.
So the whistle may have been jumped just a little bit. But 2nd down and 11 for Pearl River. Tavis Williams at quarterback, claps the hands, wants the football, wants to throw, lofts it across the middle. This ball is batted at the 48-yard line. The intended receiver for PRC was Tyler Polk. But good coverage on the play by the Bulldogs' Derek Beckham, the sophomore defensive back out of Columbus, Mississippi.
You know, Kelly, and I know this is house cleaning here, but the flag was thrown. I don't know.
Did they mark it off?
I don't know what they marked off. I mean, the play ended at the 30. The ball's spotted at the 25, so I have no idea why the ball's on the 25, but there it is, and it's 3rd and 10.
5:17 left to go in the game. Look out, Tavis Williams has to run up the middle, trying to find some blockers, and he is engulfed at the 24-yard line. Down he goes. Making the tackle for the Bulldogs was Jamie Sheriff, the freshman defensive lineman out of Terry, Mississippi, and that'll bring up 4th down and Will Lang and company onto the field.
Well, and the bottom line is do you go for it on 4th and 11 and hope for the best? I would, because you need 2 scores, but they're going to punt this, use their 3 timeouts, and hope they can get the football back quickly, unless they've got a fake in mind.
Will Lang is back there. It's a perfect snap. The Bulldogs do bring some pressure, and Lang gets this wobbler away. Back at the 45-yard line and brought down immediately is Avery. Good special teams coverage there by Pearl River. On the tackle there for the River Cats is Cantrell Banks, a freshman linebacker out of Lake, Mississippi. And Peyton Graham out of Poplarville.
Think of your Pearl River. There's nothing else that you would expect here. You're going to start to use your timeouts immediately. Hope that you can maybe get something stripped, but at the very least get a 3 and out and give your offense one more crack to see if they can get in the end zone, hit a 2-point conversion, and then maybe play the onside kick game.
At the Division I level today, Ole Miss was being handled by Auburn up in Oxford. We never did get a final score, but we're assuming Auburn won that game.
They did win that game.
Okay, Mississippi State playing down at Baton Rouge in a few hours at 6 o'clock. Handoff to Avery, and he is wrapped up and thrown backwards at the line of scrimmage. A loss on the play. Nice job defensively for Pearl River by Redante Womack, the freshman out of Prentice, Mississippi.
Well, Pearl River's going to hang on to those timeouts for one more play here, but I don't know why you do that. 40 seconds is big, but why is Mississippi Gulf Coast running a play so fast is another question.
On 2nd down, handoff again. They'll try the right side, and getting about 3 or 4 before being wrapped up by Reggie Williams is Terrion Avery. He has done a lot of work today for the Bulldogs.
Those are little things, Kelly, but again, you snap the ball with 20 on the play clock. I mean, you're up by 16. There's no reason now the coaching staff's getting involved. You see they're slowing it down a bit, but hey, 20 extra seconds. That was a lot of time that Pearl River saved right here. And here they go again, still with 15 on the clock. They're ready to go.
But you do have a backup quarterback in there in Narcisse. So chances are he has not had as many reps. Steps up into the pocket, will run it himself. And Reggie Williams says, no, you won't. And he is dropped. Again, Womack was there to help Williams.
And there's your first time out used. So the Wildcat defense did what it could. I mean, that's all they can do is get the stop. Now you're hoping for a big return. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Wildcats try to sell out for a block right here. Remember, the only touchdown drive Pearl River has, Kelly, was the 5-yard touchdown drive after the long interception return. Now, they did show they could move the football on that long drive that came up a little short when they started at their own 3. But the bottom line is something special, as in maybe special teams, is going to have to happen to get the Bulldogs to strike not once but twice.
We mentioned Mississippi State down at Death Valley in Baton Rouge tonight. Southern Miss is at home. It is homecoming on campus in Hattiesburg, and they are entertaining Texas San Antonio, the Fighting Roadrunners. The New Orleans Saints tomorrow play the Baltimore Ravens. That'll be up in Baltimore. Saints underdogs in that game. A lot of people think the Saints might win that game outright. And our next webcast will come your way next Saturday afternoon from the booming metropolis of Clarksdale, Mississippi, where everyone sounds like Morgan Freeman. But we'll have the game for you at 2:30 when Pearl River wraps up the season against Mississippi Delta, the Trojans. 4th down. Here comes the pressure for Pearl River. Blocked beautifully in a rocket. Kicked back at the and fielded at the 4-yard line by Dwayne Lee, which was a mistake. Dwayne, when he knew he was at the 4, maybe should have let that ball bound into the end zone, or at least possibly bound into the end zone. But a penalty marker back here at the 37-yard line. So hold your tickets again here.
Well, you hope that's against Mississippi Gulf Coast. And if it is, an illegal formation is going to wipe out what was a 54-yard punt and had the Wildcats pinned at their own 4-yard line. And you can do one of two things. You can add that 5 yards on and go to the 9.
No.
But they're going to take option B on that and make them punt that football again. That's a big break for Pearl River.
You mentioned, David, during the contest about how that wind working from left to right, as it were. So if you're kicking from right to left, you're kicking into the wind. And clearly you see that in the results. But when you look at the flags on the top of the goalposts, they haven't moved all day.
Well, there's some wind up there, though, and you can see when you get it up in that jet stream, it goes, and there it goes again.
This is a fair catch signaled at the 24-yard line by Lee, the sophomore.
So in the books, that's a 5-yard penalty. In reality, it was a 20-yard penalty. So instead of starting at the 4, you start at the 24. So that's a nice break for Pearl River right there on the illegal formation.
Wildcats have 2 timeouts at their disposal with 2:57 left to go in this contest. Gulf Coast has only been limited to a field goal here in the second half.
Boy, and you look all the way back to the first quarter, Kelly. Those 2 desperation heaves, one on 4th and 11, one on 3rd and 14 that found their way home. That's the difference in the ball game, is those 2 heaves by Lovertich that were made, one spectacular catch and one that just went over the shoulder of the defender.
And Lovertich is still out of the ball game for Gulf Coast. Here's a throw, and this pass is intercepted in a face mask at the 30-yard line. Making the interception is Rotarian Johnson. He's still alive, looking for some blockers. Rotarian Johnson with a stiff arm. He got looked like face masked again down at about the 3-yard line, unless he.
Kelly, I believe this is going on him, and if so, this is going to be offsetting penalties. Pearl River may get the ball back.
Well, we've got some.
If this is on the defender, this is the same play. This would be offsetting face mask penalties, so it would be the last hope for the Wildcat listeners out there to keep the Pearl River Wildcats with a chance.
There was some chin gassing going on down there in the end zone, but not severe enough to draw any flags there. So it might take a while for the guys to sort this one out. As we await the word from Patrick Foy, face mask on.
Oh, both of them are going against Pearl River.
I thought so.
Both going against Pearl River. So that was the only thing you could have hoped, was that it was on the return man grabbing the face mask of the tackler from the offensive, then turned defensive Wildcat right there. But instead, it does go against Pearl River, and so they'll mark it down to the 4-yard line, and for all intents and purposes, that will do it.
2 minutes, 36 seconds left to go. The Wildcats, again, have 2 timeouts, but remember, it's a 2-score game. And if the Bulldogs punch it in here.
Lovertich back in.
He is back in. Was out what appeared to be maybe a cramp, and easily gliding into the end zone is Austin Bolton, the running back out of Poplarville, and that's the exclamation point for Mississippi Gulf Coast today.
A great effort by the defense, though, in the second half, Kelly. I mean, 3 of the 4 touchdown drives that Mississippi Gulf Coast had in the football game were from drives that they started in Pearl River territory. First of all, their longest touchdown drive was only 60 yards. But in the first half, I mean, again, you look back at it, those 2 long double-crossed finger passes that they threw down the field that were not able to be defended, that gave Mississippi Gulf Coast that big lead in the first half, and it's just not something that Pearl River could overcome. They just missed opportunities on offense, especially the real change of the ball game is at 20-7, first and goal at the 5-yard line for Pearl River, and they came away with nothing. They missed a field goal, and that pretty much gave Mississippi Gulf Coast the elbow room they needed to take this win.
Let's visit the Anderson Design Center scoreboard again, this time in men's soccer. In the second half, Southwest leading Pearl River 1-0. 1-0 in the second half up at Jones in the state semifinals. That's men's action. The women will play at about 5:30 against Jones. Pearl River against Jones women this afternoon at 5:30. Right now, the men being beaten 1-0. Jones has hit pay dirt again. Jones now leading Colin 28-17 in the fourth quarter as that kick sails through the end zone. Again, if Jones holds on to that lead, the Bobcats will be your South Division champions.
And Colin will be number 2, and Mississippi Gulf Coast will be, and East Central for that matter, would be eliminated. The only way East Central, and again, their playoff hopes were a thread,
right.
But the only way East Central or Mississippi Gulf Coast could have had a chance going into the final week of the season would have been for Jones to lose today. So it's going to be Jones 1, Colin 2 if that score holds.
So Coach Wright for Gulf Coast could say, well, you guys, the good news is you played well enough to beat Pearl River. The bad news is it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're the 18th ranked team in the country. You're 6-2 on the season, but playoff hopes have come to an end.
The 2 you lost were the 2 that you didn't need to lose, Jones and Colin. Ron Thompson trying to get some yardage, and he is knocked backwards at about the 21-yard line. He was stood up by Jamie Sheriff, who has been laying down the law here for Gulf Coast in the second half. A loss on the play of about a yard brings up 2nd down and 11. And Pearl River just getting some reps in at this point because this ball game is over.
Kelly, I hope our listeners, we give credit where it's due, not just to Pearl River, but the other team. Mississippi Gulf Coast's defense, when they had to step up here, they got the stop on that 1st and goal from the 5. And since then, Kelly, Pearl River's offense has only been able to net 2 yards. 2 yards since that stop of a goal-to-go situation.
That pass is deflected, knocked out of the air, intended over on the right sideline for Tyler Polk, but it'll go as an incompletion and stop the clock with 1:46. Gulf Coast leading at 30-7. So Gulf Coast will celebrate this win, but you talk about a hollow victory because they would have lost 2 games all year, but the 2 games they lost were to Colin and to Jones.
Well, you call this the toughest league in America.
Yeah.
You have a top 20 team in the nation that has no chance to make the playoffs. That's how good the South Division and all of Mississippi football is in the junior college level.
Tavis Williams is dumped at the 19-yard line again by the Sheriff, Jamie Sheriff. And Jamie Sheriff is a freshman defensive lineman out of Terry, so he's got another year left in his contract, and the Wildcats will boot this one away.
And again, this is not a negative, trying to kick the Wildcats while they're down, but with that, again, the Wildcats had a 1st and goal at 20-7 from the 5-yard line. They're turned away, and after that, the Gulf Coast defense not only gets the stop, but actually for the rest of the 3rd quarter and the entirety of the 4th quarter, they give up negative yardage to the Pearl River offense. That's a great effort by the Bulldogs.
And the Bulldogs defensive coordinator is Latrell Pollard, who had quite a good career himself at Southern Miss. And as we mentioned, Latrell Pollard's son, Ty Pollard, is an offensive lineman for Southern Miss out of Oak Grove High School up in the Hattiesburg area. 57 seconds left to go in the game. The Wildcats will take the delay of game call to move it back 5 more yards. And the Bulldogs are beginning to celebrate this one. But, man, you talk about, again, the hollowest of victories because –
well, they don't know that yet.
No, they don't.
Yeah, of course. That's why they are celebrating, because they're hoping that they're going to get in and their coach is going to tell them that Colin helped them out. But right now, barring a big-time comeback late in that ball game, not going to happen.
Ball is out at about the 40-yard line. An update from Jones in soccer play. Pearl River has just scored to tie Southwest at 1 late in the second half up in Jones. 1-1 men's soccer, Pearl River against Southwest. And if I'm not mistaken, Southwest beat Pearl River earlier this year in soccer, so that would be a revenge win for the Wildcats. And Pearl River's coach used to coach at Southwest. So 48 seconds left to go. The Bulldogs will go into victory formation here. It would appear that Jones is going to beat Colin. We got too many men on the field here for Gulf Coast.
Well, you know, I know you got to call it, but
why?
Just let them snap it.
Right. But if you're going to get to the next level, I mean, referees want to get better too, and they want to make it to the next level just like the players do.
That's the only real negative stat for Gulf Coast, 12 penalties. But besides that, a nice win for them, and they'll probably get up around the top 15 now. And if they're able to win next week, I know it's not the greatest. Like you said, it's a hollow victory, but a 7-2 season and possibly right around a top 10 season, that's not the worst year you can have. And to think, again, you could be that good and not even make the playoffs in your own division. Again, just shows you the quality of football that's being played down here in Mississippi.
And in the state soccer playoffs, we understand Pearl River scored in the last minute of regulation. They are going to overtime in Ellisville against Southwest. There's the second knee by Lovertich. And that does it. Our final score this afternoon from Dobie Holden on the campus of Pearl River. Homecoming here at PRC. It's been a great week. The students have enjoyed all the activities that the administration have planned for them. Tough loss today for the Wildcats, but they'll try to finish the season on a high note next Saturday when we go to Clarksdale to take on Mississippi Delta. Kickoff at 2 o'clock. We'll have it for you here at about 1:55. Mississippi Gulf Coast 30, Pearl River 7. That'll do it for this Saturday afternoon. For executive producer Mark Franklin and color analyst Captain D. David Sutton, I'm Kelly Sander. Thanks for joining us. You've been watching Wildcat Football on PRCCmedia.com.